That's a great intro, Dana.
I love that. With the logos up there.
Do you?
I was
Yes,
a little nervous you might get content ID claim though with all the clips.
It was good. It was good. I hadn't seen it.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. They didn't get mad at me with The Last of Us, so we'll keep our fingers crossed that they don't mind this for the Walking Dead. I tried to change it as much as I could and finagle with it and play with it. So we'll see. But welcome everybody to another fun-filled live with an awesome panel. We're going to talk some Walking Dead tonight, some New York City, Dead City, and we are going to just see where the conversation takes us tonight. You never know with us. You never know. We start talking about one thing, we end up talking about something else. So we'll see how the night goes. But first and foremost, welcome to my awesome bestie, my sidekick, my ride or die, the awesome Scarlet. How are you today?
I'm doing really well, ready to dive into this episode with you guys. I'll do my best, Data.
I know.
I will try, okay? I mean, there's a few things that I can say are good. I just don't know. Yeah, we'll give it a chance.
Well, you're coming from No Walking Dead, so
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be interesting to see how somebody who knows nothing about this universe, this world, takes to the episode. So your opinion is very, very interesting.
We'll
So,
see how well
I can't
everyone
wait to see.
enjoys my opinion by the end of the stream.
And then our newest addition, our friend from Shook Earth Media. How are you doing today, Mr. Brian?
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me. I'm doing very well. Looking forward to getting into this episode. Really excited. Walking Dead is one of my favorite franchises, but it's been going on so long. It's like most people aren't watching it anymore, but I'm still here. I miss it when it's gone, and then when it comes back, I complain about it. But today's episode, I actually enjoyed. So, looking forward to getting into it.
There you go. And then the man himself, all things Walking Dead, because that's what his channel lives and breathes for. How are you doing tonight, Mr. James?
Hey, doing well. Just honored to be here among you guys and with Brian again, and just talking some stuff and TV. It's whatever the episode or show may be, just being here with you guys is really where it's at.
I agree with that.
Oh, we love you, James. But no, like this is supposed to be exciting for you. Another chapter in the Walking Dead universe.
Yeah.
So, giving you some more good stuff. And, I liked seeing it in New York. We were talking about this on the video we just did for your channel, and it's awesome to see the setting in New York. So I'm interested to see how this season's gonna go. So
Yeah,
I
for
guess
sure.
we could say hi to everybody in the chat while I pull up the screenshots. Who we got with us tonight, Scarlett?
We got Miss Kiwi Skirt, first and foremost, always dropping the links for everybody. Says, hey, all sorry in and out of the house today being Sunday and Mother's Day. We'll catch up with you on the next if I don't catch you on this. Hope or have a great time. Yes, happy Mother's Day to you, Miss Kiwi, in the future. It's looking like it must be pretty good. She's already celebrating Mother's Day, having fun with family. So we hope you are having an awesome day, hun. See, we got Bill Chill hanging out. Hello, I'll be back once I finish the episode. Awesome. We got Great Goldworm hanging out with us. Greetings. Of course, we got Mr. Dark Elf himself hanging out. And we got Terry back there hanging out in the chat and on panel, technically.
Yes, she's in my home today. She is sitting in her chair, and she is joining the festivities tonight.
And that means the whipped cream is not safe.
Uh-oh.
No, the whipped cream is not safe. She's been eyeballing it.
I know.
Peppers, and
Look,
she'll go make herself a puppuccino.
I was gonna say she's gonna say, "Oh, well, Nico needs a puppuccino," and you come back and like, there's no whipped cream left.
I said the word, and Nico like popped up like, I heard that word, puppuccino.
I heard that.
Who's giving it to me?
Where's it
going
at?
on?
She's eyeing me.
She's waiting. She's looking at Terry like, you going?
Right? She's like, come on, me and you, we got this. I'll share.
Right? I don't have thumbs, so you're gonna have to make it work. Just don't forget about me.
We can both have one. It's fine. Don't tell mom.
Right? It's okay. Shh. Nobody will know. but no, I think this episode was pretty interesting. I love the opening. I love the opening with the song and them
hmm
kind of with the opening walker and then
Garbage
coming here
patrol
with
with
the
the zombies.
garbage truck,
Yeah.
typical New York, like barreling through the cars as they pick up their nice little walker. I'm just the only thing I'm a little like iffy about is we're still in New York City. And this street, like, there's only one walker walking around. Like, have they really been cleaning the house that well that there's no like big batches of walkers? There's just this like one lonely dude just kind of walking down the street, like, hey, got
Well,
the
it
place
made
to
it seem like
myself.
maybe they've been sectioning off New York, right? Because they showed the map and how these different factions kind of own different territories. And they even have the farmers market, so to speak. So it seems as if, yeah, there's probably still a bit of them, but they might have cleared them out of enough sections where they're not overwhelming as they once were.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely like people fighting back, and there's also like in Walking Dead lore, there's a lot of like corralling of the hordes, right? So it'd be
Yeah.
like a big horde, and obviously you're not going to send your truck in there to be in danger when people run out and grabs a zombie. So they're looking for stragglers, right? So they're not going to the horde where most of them are. I would imagine they have some sort of technique for drawing them, whether it's bells or whatever it is. So
The
Because the
first
other
season,
guys are using them too, right? Like later in the episode when they're doing the whole like, oh, they have like a farmer's market and it's the dude, like they're having them fight it out. And the
Yeah.
winners, I guess, get to have the weapons, whatever faction wins. Their zombie that wins,
yeah,
Yeah.
So they're using them at this point for everything. I mean, not knowing anything about The Walking Dead, just about zombie apocalypse. Yeah, we're well past the point of just the hordes are just fully taking over. It seems as if they're not even as scary,
Well,
like a
did you see
threat at this
season one?
point. No,
Did you-
I did not.
Okay, well, season one kind of established it a little bit, and this is, The Walking Dead is bad for not really telling you the whole story. You really got to kind of make up some of it yourself. But
Mhm.
the season one kind of showed that they keep the horde, as Brian mentioned, the horde of walkers kind of walking around the edge of the city, and they kind of keep that perimeter. And one thing, it keeps the inside city safe. It acts as a wall, like people don't want to go through
Right.
the walkers, but it also keeps that majority of them on the outer perimeter. And so there would be stragglers, I guess. So that's why you didn't see as many, on the street per se, but there's still a whole bunch around.
yeah, like when they first show up, it was like dead quiet, and then all of a sudden all the zombies start falling from the rooftops, right? That's what happened first episode.
Yeah, that happened also.
That was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
That was great.
That was great. I
It
would
was
like
just
to
like
see more
raining
of that.
zombies just falling off the skyscrapers, just
Yeah.
splatting all over New York City. Like,
As Scott
here you
Gimple would
go.
say, it's literally raining men. He
Yeah.
said that like in a bunch
think-
of interviews.
I think Negan said it in season one when that happened. Like, it's raining zombies now. Give me a break.
But
I
now,
feel
what
like
did
they
you
put
guys
that in
think
there for
about
Scott.
this scene
I
where they were like around the pit? It
I
looked
didn't
like the
understand it.
zombies knew they were supposed to fight each
Yeah.
other.
Like
Do
they
you think
trained
the
them.
zombies are getting
You can't
smarter
train.
in a
You
sense?
I
can't-
know, but I'm not saying you could train
train
them, but the
y'all.
way they were acting, it was as if they had trained them because this was essentially a dogfight, right?
I know, it
The
didn't make sense.
It really doesn't, because
So it was weird
seen,
because it made me
like-
think they're training these creatures at this point.
And
somehow.
that would be interesting. But I think it was supposed to be like it's an accident, because it was like the zombie
No,
stabbed
because
him almost
this
incidentally.
big zombie dude, the big zombie dude.
Well,
where
why
is
were they
it?
going after
He
each other in
knew-
the first place then? Because they
he
got
knew
away
he
from each
stabbed
other and
this
kind of,
dude.
and
They
they
must-
separated.
they
And
must
kind
have
of-
smeared some guts on them or something that would, like, fresh, that would
Like
make them
fresh
attract to each other, because there's people all around the edges, and they didn't go toward the people versus them.
That's what I'm saying.
other,
It
It don't make sense.
Yeah,
And
'cause
even
it
when they
always
went to
seemed
grab
like-
him up, though, they didn't even see. He didn't seem like he was going after the people that went to
Right,
grab him.
totally.
So they're like trained creatures. Like again, this was so much of just a dog fight
Which
with
is
trained animals.
weird. It's kind of weird, and that's the biggest complaint I have with The Walking Dead, but this show as well, is they don't explain enough. It's like that totally goes against lore kind of, and they didn't explain it. And
Yeah, it really does.
a
They
lot of
have
like
to explain this, right?
Maggie's background and the reason she's doing some of the things she does is way out of character, and they haven't explained that. So those are my biggest gripes. But this really just, I was sitting there watching the episode the first time going, what the
I
hell
totally
is
forgot to
going on?
mention that in my review when I did a video, but that really does stand out as like what was happening, because we've seen like a zombie eating a person. The person wakes up as a zombie, and the zombie immediately stops eating them because they're like, they don't go after each other. That's just not what they do. If they did, it would be convenient for the survivors because
Right.
they would be fighting each other all the time. So yeah, that's a weird one. But I think the training idea is interesting. It could be that they're like they're treated like animals in a way.
And I don't even know if that's even a possibility. It just perceptionally watching it again. First episode I've ever watched of pretty much any of the Walking Dead stuff, minus maybe one or two episodes from season 1 of the Walking Dead. That was exactly the way I perceived it. I was like, okay, well, all right, we got factions, check, got you. We got an outcoming group coming in. We got to get the factions together. Okay, this is where the factions come together and do their kind of dealings.
Mm-hmm.
And this was for weapons, right? Weapons and goods, right? Each faction.
Trade. Yeah, like
this was the winner gets the goods, right? You're putting up your goods. So it was all gambling and stuff. So I was like, I was following it, but again, they were very much so like animals trained in a dogfight.
Yeah.
Well, this setup we've seen like a million times on Walking Dead at this point, and all these different places. Like how having a ring, and there's usually it's a person fighting zombies, not zombies fighting each other. So maybe this is them trying to do something a little different.
And I thought this was at first just for fun, not even for necessarily like anything major. Like, oh, let's just your zombie versus my zombie. Let's see what zombie survives. And I figured the outside people would kind of do things to sort of push them to fight in a way, but none of that happened. Right. So I was like, okay, well, so this is a little bit more than that.
Gladiator sport gambling kind of thing.
Like, because they seemed more intelligent than zombies did in a way, not like they were smart, but that was just too much awareness. Like, because they had like the zombies were sort of like ran into each other at one point. And I'm like, okay, they put the spikes on them, so they kind of clash, and they have to do kind of like wiggle around. One of them dies, but when they separated, nobody pushed them back together. They came back together to fight.
They were fighting each other. And if you notice, when that one, I guess in that shot right there, it looks like he's stabbing
with the chin
Yeah.
bone
The other
that
one?
he has.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
that, but I get that they must have spread something on the other one that he's trying to eat. So he's not really stabbing. He is, because they have those knives tied to him, but he's actually trying to bite, like trying to eat the brains or something. But like Brian said earlier, they don't eat each other. So it just goes against the lore, and that it bothers
they don't
me.
explain
I don't know why.
to
It
like
just
tell
bothers
us
me.
like how it works, or even show like another 2 zombies on the side, like preparing them to fight. Like, okay, now we see them put the guts on, like something to give us something to hold on to.
We already know through promos and trailers that they're going to show this again. We'll see it again. So hopefully it's just, as I do a lot of times, I just have to wait till like the next episode and it'll explain it or something. I've done that. I've done that before. Bitch like crazy in the next episode. It explains it all.
Negan should be asking this question, because if he sees this, he's like, what is this? Like, I've never seen this. Like he did when the climbing zombies showed up, and he was like, what the fuck?
Farmer's market.
Comment is like, that's a big walker. Yeah. I was like,
really? Oh, this is a farmer's market.
Like, not the how, the what the fuck.
Right.
Are they going after you? How'd you do this? Like, how is this working?
The fact that they're stoked, though, they are covered in guts or something, but that doesn't make sense either. Like, there's just somebody that they have tied up so they can get fresh guts off of them.
And even then, does it completely make sense, right? Because you got to think, a zombie's probably eating on people. It may have part of the body on it, and other zombies still don't attack it.
Yeah. Like, the guts are supposed to work in like the opposite way, where like you can blend
like
in
a
with
repellent.
Zombies.
Yeah.
So I'm so confused on this right now, but I'll say this. I'm gonna go ahead and say something nice about the show before we go any further.
Sure.
What I did
Okay.
really enjoy was the range of the cast, because a lot of the folks I recognize from other supernatural TV shows, and I'm like, oh, I love this person. Oh, I like that person. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. Even the guy, he's from what, True Blood. I haven't recognized names yet, but he's part of the people that have the methane. And he's the one trying to get the dude to talk him into the shit to get him to be like, let's join forces,
Old
kumbaya
guy?
shit.
Yeah.
Or no? Or
Yeah.
Really, really, really pale looking old dude.
Okay.
I can't remember his name right now, but he was in True Blood. Of
This
course,
guy?
our main yeah, dude right there. I believe that was the dude in True Blood. Of course, we got our main guy here from Supernatural, the father. So there was a lot of people in the cast that I recognized from. So they got like a really good cast.
Even Maggie had a little stint on Supernatural.
Like I feel like I
really?
recognize most of the cast from some of the other shows that I watch.
Yeah. They pull in.
There you go. That's all I got.
They pull
Yeah,
in.
it'd be really bizarre to see this out of context, because if you don't know who Maggie and Negan are, like the whole show kind of falls apart.
Yeah, I mean, I get the vibe. I get where everybody's coming from. I mean, it's pretty, straightforward as far as apocalypse.
Do you know like
zombie shows.
why they're paired up together? Like, do you know?
It showed when in this episode, when you first watch it, it shows like last season and stuff kind of build up. So I know that one chick cut little dude's toe off. They were there, and things were not good in New York. They showed the picture of what he was drawing of New York and kind of his whole like deal and what he felt about New York. So I get that. I get a vibe. I don't fully understand what the hell happened, but it ain't good. I know that.
Okay, is it okay if I spoil Walking Dead original show? Okay. Well, the main thing with them is like Negan murdered Maggie's wife or husband, Glenn, when he was first introduced. Like that was his introduction to the show, was murdering Glenn. So that's why this whole show exists, is because of that tension between them, where like Negan kind of had a whole redemption arc where, he basically ended up like working with everybody and making a kind of uneasy peace essentially towards the end of the show. So that's the whole context behind everything. Does that change your perspective of the show at all?
I mean, again, it just fits with what I would think of a zombie show.
Yeah.
Less zombie, more human. To me, again, when I watched this whole episode, to me, the zombies didn't feel like that much of a threat. Even when they showed the girls fighting later, with the zombies, they were trying to act like, oh, this is super. Well, the girls kind of took like most of the zombies, and it didn't really feel that threatening.
Yeah. No,
it's more about the factions, which is fun. Like I said, it's all good. It's just we got another government coming over, and then now we're gonna have the rebel faction, and then we're gonna have these factions. They're all gonna fight. We'll see who survives.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just, I guess, because to me, if it's a movie, it's a quicker story, right? And we kind of get to the point.
Yeah.
This is going to be so, like, even this episode, there were parts that I enjoyed, but those drag out moments of the conversation where we're just kind of, it's that human element that's what the show is about, right? Like, that's the genre. It's nothing wrong with it. It's just not my cup of tea.
Yeah. And so at the first of, I guess it was this episode, it showed the corn had
had been messed up.
Yeah,
some moths.
From the moths. Yeah, I wondered. I was like,
corn
what
and
that corn? That ain't right.
That's how not only were they getting food, but a big thing of it is that's how they were making ethanol as far as the New Babylon Federation.
Right. That's their source of energy.
And so the chick here, the new governor, thinks that's hard, that's difficult, that's intensive. Plus, we have problems like we're having right now with it. We need to take New York because they have a methane fuel energy way to do it. I guess they don't have scientists. I guess they don't have scientists of their own or whatever that can figure it out. Whatever the case, but it seems like they want to take the island as well anyway.
Yeah, I was curious about this setup myself.
I did appreciate in this season that they have them take the clothes off the zombies' bodies, because like I talked to a friend of mine about this, like making fuel out of the human bodies, and they were like, it's technically feasible, but it's not very practical.
And I wondered myself too. I'm like, I see where we going.
Yeah.
It is possible for sure. Not, I mean, my thing is they turn on streetlights and shit. You don't want to waste it like that. You
Yeah,
know?
definitely not.
Well,
That
they
was
were
just
trying to
for
show
show,
off
right?
like they had this abundance.
Yeah, I understand that
right?
they got to show the power is power moment.
And that was kind of what that was.
I
Like,
feel
oh,
like
we
this
got
was
all
a
this extra.
this was a test run for when they have Negan's big speech at the end of the episode, because they turned it back on then. So they're like, we're gonna test this out. They don't want to turn it on to leave it on. They're just turning it on
Right.
just to make sure that their showmanship will pay off, you know.
Because right, she wants to show a show, and this guy here too. Where the fuck? I've seen him in so many different things. I swear,
Yeah,
I've seen
he's
him
been
in
in
a
a
million things.
bunch of stuff. He's
Sons of
good.
Anarchy is
That's not the one though.
He's good.
I'm thinking more movies or supernatural stuff. I swear, I've seen him in
He's
some
been in
weird
a
shit.
bunch of stuff. Good actor.
Oh yeah. So like I said, the cast, I love it. Like, man, had you had like let this be Supernatural, the TV show with all these people in it, I'm all about it. But this, I don't know. There's too many factions for me. That's probably what it is. We need more zombies, less factions. Make it feel, because it doesn't even feel apocalyptic at this point. Because now we've gotten past the apocalypse, right? We're back to civilization. I mean, we got power.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
we're
like it's
how many years into
definitely
it
like
now?
20
Like,
years or
So was
something.
it an apocalypse? It wasn't even an
Yeah.
apocalypse.
It's 17 years post infection. This
Right, because
this episode,
that
because it was on
sign.
the sign. Yeah.
yeah, and this show takes place after the Daryl one, right? Like it's like further
No.
into the future.
Oh yeah,
Huh?
yeah. This
Yeah.
one's farthest ahead of everything. Yeah.
I
what
love
I
the
thought.
Babylonians. Just the choice in wardrobe is interesting.
And they never explained like why Maggie and them decided to leave the Commonwealth. Did they ever explain that?
Not well. They just it was a blow off line in season 1 that said the hilltop had dilapidated, and they just had to leave because it was beyond repair. So they went pretty far away to this shitty place. That's
go
another
back there. Like,
that's
why?
another thing that doesn't make sense. You know, they have
went from
ice
one
cream.
shithole to the next shithole.
They have
Right.
ice cream at Commonwealth.
Commonwealth is where it's
You
at.
don't want your kid to have ice cream. You don't want your kid to be around Judith. That's actually a good influence. You
Yeah,
know,
it has like a military and
stuff.
like schools.
I don't understand Maggie at all, and they don't explain it. And then that's
And
it's
I
crazy.
also didn't really understand Negan like not going after his wife and kid, right? As well. That was another. I guess it's because he was a wanted man. He didn't want
yeah.
to.
That's how
Yeah.
they explained it. Yeah,
Yeah, it still seemed like obviously it didn't protect them because they ended up getting found out anyway.
yeah.
Right.
So, but yeah, I mean there are definitely a lot of things I do like about the episode. Like the Negan stuff, I think is really good. I love the scenes of him in the cell because it's like him returning to where he was in Alexandria, and he's kind of accepted this as like his penance for his sins. I think he's genuinely like content. Like when he's eating those bugs, he's like, me being here represents, Herschel being free, which is like his way of kind of trying to make up for Glenn. And, he's genuinely like, if this is the end of his life, he's okay with it. That's what I think. Because he protected his wife and kid. He protected Herschel. He's good with Maggie. Like, this is it for him. Is that what you guys thought too?
Yeah.
He
Until
seemed pretty content until
they brought up they
his
got his
kid
kid.
and stuff. Yeah, and then he's like, "Well, I guess I'm gonna carry this bat.
I guess the shit's on.
I guess we're gonna have to do this." And then
They have this
used
meeting.
flamethrower. Look, I was hoping somebody would at least got burnt up in that bitch. I was waiting for somebody else stand up. I was kind of slightly disappointed. I mean, it was a cool moment. Don't get me wrong. Like the build up for that moment in the church. I'm like, oh hell yeah, I was waiting for his faction to like stand up and actually like I wanted one faction out of like the three of them to like no-go it, so they would really have to use them flamethrowers, and we'd get like people fucking coming out the church in flames and shit. Not
See.
We didn't get that though.
See.
But yeah, I like that it's like hesitant Negan, like he doesn't want to be his old self again, but he has to put on that show. So I kind of I find it interesting because we don't just they have that scene in the confessional and the Croats, like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the people just want the greatest hits. They don't want to see the performer do new things. They just want to see the greatest hits. And I feel like that was the writer saying, like, we have to make this like the old way, but also new at the same time. And that's what they're trying to do in this final scene here. And I thought it was a good middle ground. I'm curious to see like how far he goes.
Right.
It'll go to the point he's got to kill somebody, and he won't like that. You know, that'll like bring up trauma, you know, from deep down that he's tried to, you know, bury because he's on a redemption arc and he don't want to go back to that, but he'll have to do it, and that'll really mess with him psychologically.
Yeah, definitely. That's going to be what makes or breaks this season, is like how interesting that is to see play out.
Yeah, yeah. And as bad as the governor lady is on the Federation side, I could see Maggie even helping these guys out before it's over with.
Yeah, I have a feeling she's not going to stay with New Babylon. So.
No. She's only there for safety.
I don't either. But it's like, do we really want these guys
for the kids and herself to be safe, wherever that is?
But it's like, do we really want these guys to be the ones who have the methane, like, and that kind of power? So it's like, what do you do?
I don't know, Dana. It seems pretty fair to me in an apocalypse. They got it, and they got the means to defend it.
Figured it out, right? Figure it out. We figured it out. You have to
I think that I don't know what's going to happen, but I feel like the Federation may have its hands full here, and they don't know what the hell they're getting themselves into going after that methane. They might want to just try to create their own fucking power.
I mean, at this point, isn't the CRN dropping off?
They really think they're going to go into New York City and just take this shit?
Oh,
I don't think that they could do that.
This chick is getting on my nerves.
Yeah, I don't like her either.
She is getting on my nerves, and I hope I'm waiting for Maggie to either like just punch her in the face or something, because she's a cocky bitch. Yeah. And she is like, oh, that we'll just draft people, and like, who the fuck are you?
Well, I like how she treated our scribe back there. He's part of the team too, you little bitch. Wouldn't let him get a cigar and shit. I'm like, all right, yeah, okay, I hear you.
Well, the cigar is actually symbolic because like his whole code, he's introduced. We're talking about the guy
right back there behind her.
Right? Is his name
Pearly?
Yeah. Well, he was introduced in the first season as like, I don't drink and I don't smoke. I have this exact code. And now they're trying to break him essentially so that, you know, his code becomes just follow orders essentially. So, you know, he's looking at that cigar like this is temptation, you know, and he doesn't want any part in it. So go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say it's expansionism. I mean, why can't we all just get along? And they say, teach us how to make methane with walkers on our side of the river.
Yeah,
I'm sure you can find somebody to explain it a little bit. I mean, you got to do some test runs of your own. You know, you can't just go in somebody else's house and expect, just because they figured it out. You figure out shit. That's tough shit on you. It's apocalypse, baby. You the fuck come over here fucking with our shit.
Why can't we all just get along? And
hell no, because obviously the new Babylonian Federation ain't getting along with shit. They coming up into these towns saying, well, according to our treaty, we're just taking who the fuck we want. And if you say no, we're hanging your ass in the public square. And we're going to go on over here to New York and we're going to take this here methane for ourselves. And we're going to impose our laws onto this town that's already got its own shit going on.
I don't know how they're still in power. Like we got to learn more about the new Federation or whatever, because like their laws are very strict. They're like, oh, if you buy alcohol, it wasn't alcohol illegal in season 1 too. Like alcohol, we could and gambling, you'll get killed for any of that.
They sound like the kind of government I don't want.
Exactly, and that's why like they have to be offering people stuff. Like, we're coming in, you have to fight for us. We're not even going to tell you the real reason. We're going to say, oh, it's going to be like museums and all this stuff that nobody really cares about. They have to be offering people. Like, are they offering supplies or like, what is the deal?
Right, they're also pretty confident that with their 20 people, they're going to walk into New York City and just do what? Like,
Yeah.
what are you gonna even with
Exploratory
Maggie?
mission.
Like, even with Maggie, what are you doing with these these? They don't look like they're gonna be fucking, ninja starfighters.
Well, supposedly they've been
What
going from town to town, right? They got them like
Yeah,
a little mini army.
There's definitely going to be more than just them, I would imagine. But
They got like a little
it's a very
mini
valid question.
exploratory army to go in and see what's up. Find the methane, I'm assuming.
It's
where it's
recon,
located.
right? That they're doing. They're just doing
Find a
recon.
lab or whatever and report back so they can go in with the army and take it. I'm assuming that's what the real plan is supposed to be going.
That's supposed to be kind of
Definitely.
what they're doing. Yeah.
Absolutely. But really, I mean, all they need is the Croat, right? I mean, they just need information. They need to know how to make this happen. They don't necessarily need they don't need to hold New York City, and you mentioned it. There's a lot of people there and they have home advantage, right? So
they don't want the laws over there. They made it very clear in the chapel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're going to have a fight on their hands for sure.
Now, what I'm more interested in, if I am going to stay interested in this, is our money man down there who has been looking at that methane, I think, at the end of the episode a little bit. I think he's going to, with the faction dude that's like the owner of the farmer's
guy
market.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he gonna be a thorn in the side of every fucking body. He just gives me that vibe that he's gonna get that goddamn methane in the end. He's gonna be the one that fucking sees that shit.
He's thinking, how do I get Negan and them out of the picture? How do I get the methane? I think that's what his angle.
Right. That was the vibe I was catching with him, but we'll see.
Yeah.
We shall see.
Yeah, I mean, it's overall for how they're showing New York City, they're doing a good job. I definitely see New York City, even though they're not filming in New York City. I think they filmed some parts, right, James? Some of
Just a
like
few.
I think Central Park. I think the Central Park scenes were actually done in Central Park.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, just like even just like the opening shot with the Statue of Liberty. Like you could just see the like what New York City looks like.
Yeah,
I think
I like
it's
some of these
overall
wide
pretty
shots
good job.
and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
like even at the end
they held up
when
on
they
this.
show.
Like the Statue of Liberty is the poster for the show, like from season 1 and on. But they held off on showing that until the final episode of last season. And when we finally get a look at it, we're looking at it from behind. So it's not even like a good angle. And it was like clearly symbolic what they were going for. Like this is like freedom, but it's not what you expect it to be. Like she finally got her son back, but he's not like they're not on good terms really. And it meant exchanging Negan.
Though.
So
me and James were talking about that. There's definitely something up with the son. I think this lady, I don't know what she did to him.
She took his toe.
She's got this boy.
I mean, she took his toe. She like kidnapped him and took his toe or some shit, right? Or did I just make that up?
No, that's true, but we think he's brainwashed also somehow, some way.
Yeah, she definitely got through to him.
I know his sister, the other little girl. She's mom. Maggie might want to get a hold of her ass because she's ready to go toe to toe with them zombies, and I don't think she's thinking very clearly.
No, I mean, like everybody, it's all about Negan, right? So I feel like Herschel blames Maggie instead of blaming Negan. But we have Ginny, who now, knows that Negan killed her dad. So she kind of like hates him. So there's like Ginny hates Negan now, but Herschel hates Maggie because she hates Negan. Like it's a lot of different motivations going on here. What do we think about like why Maggie is going on the mission? Like why did she agree to it?
I thought it was to make sure the kids didn't go, but then the little girl here decided to be all bowdy and shit.
Yeah. So now that she's going, like why does Maggie want to go?
To keep her safe, I assume.
To keep so that they wouldn't draft Herschel. because they
Got it.
literally went in like, let's draft people, and
Mhm.
but
But
I
we know
don't
Herschel's going.
know.
I mean, he's not going to
Well,
stay.
yeah, he's gonna go. Of course he is. Well, she was attempting to try to do what she thought was right, but by the time she had already basically made the deal with him, in a sense, the little girl did what she did, and then it was kind of like all fucked up at that point.
Well,
So why does
the deal was volunteer. You know, Maggie said, "Look, I'm going, and nobody else in my community because she's the leader, you know, and all that kind of stuff. She'd protect her people and her son."
Mm-hmm.
So, but the governor lady or whoever said, unless they volunteer themselves on top of that, then I'm taking them. And Jeannie's the only one that did because she's got balls.
She was trying to be dowdy.
do you think it's because she wants to find
She wants
Negan
to
again?
go. I'm
Yeah,
assuming.
but I'm not sure if she wants to kill him. I know that's a lot of people on my channel think, yeah, she's like vengeful in all of that, but I don't know. I'm thinking a little bit of the opposite. Like she just,
Maybe she wants to talk to him.
yeah. I
Like,
mean,
Yeah, she
hey,
had some
hey, what's
affection for
up,
him,
man?
so,
You
like-
know,
she
long time no
totally,
see.
she totally hates where she's at. You can tell. She's just
Well, yeah,
like,
she's
I
not happy.
don't care. You know, I hate where I'm at.
Yeah, in the scene with her and Herschel and Maggie like fighting walkers and stuff, she was not really engaged with anything going on.
And now the boy, he might.
Or they were
It seemed
hunting,
as if he's kind of homesick. Like, regardless of that chick, it was almost as if New York was like his home. Like
Yeah.
he does want to go back there because it's all he knows. Like the way the other guy was talking about it, he's like, "Have you ever actually been there? Like you're talking about what you see in books and stuff, but you've never been there." And he's like, "I know what New York is really like." So it's almost as if he was reminiscing about home in a way. And even if home is bad sometimes, you know, it's still home.
Yeah, but he's not from there. I mean, he was only there.
That's just the way it was like. The way
and he mostly
talked
saw
about
a
it.
locked room.
First season, he was just there temporarily. But
Oh, okay.
Somehow, some way, yeah, she took his toe, but also seems like she might have brainwashed him. But the way he draws New York and the buildings and stuff, it does seem like they took him outside and look around, or he did see the city, and he's drawing it. And it seems like he's drawing it because he's fascinated with it. And that's why he was telling that dude, I think the writer dude, about it. And he was like, here, let me show you, because he may not be fascinated with the Dhamma as much as the city. He loves the city, maybe, you know.
It just seemed like he was reminiscing about it, even though it might have been bad or whatever was going on. I don't know, but I don't. It just seemed like he was very reminiscent, and like he just wanted to go back, but not necessarily for anything bad, but more for something good. Like I don't know. It was weird. Yeah,
I took it that he's got this infatuation with the city. And
screenshot of that.
He doesn't like the bricks either.
Right.
Yeah. Nobody does. Why are they there?
Yeah, that's just so weird to me.
Yeah,
I mean, she
left
Glenn's grave. You know, Glenn's grave was at Hilltop, so maybe it was not repairable. But you're gonna go all the way up the coast to New Jersey, somewhere in New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it feels like there should be more to it than that. Like, what does this say about what's going on back at the Commonwealth? Like, maybe it's not all roses over there.
I mean, she didn't want to be a part of it even in season 11, and they made real clear of that. She's this independent person. She doesn't want anybody over her. She doesn't want to be a part of Alexandria, even if she could be a part of the council. Fuck that. She wants to be her own damn person, living her own damn life with her own damn people. Yeah, but to me, that's actually reckless as far as her kid, because like we were talking about, Commonwealth has safety, walls, an army, ice cream, a school.
Ice cream.
And she also left her
enough.
people at the Hilltop for like a very how long was that she was gone?
Oh yeah, a long time.
Yeah, because she was on another show, right? So,
yeah.
So she's so adamant about being with her own people, except for when she wasn't, right?
Yeah. So they may not ever explain it, you know, the way The Walking Dead goes, but I wish they would. It just kind of, you know, for us that are longtime fans, and we know Maggie as well as anybody, like we know that person because we've been around her so long and for all these years, you know, and we know Negan where he's at right now in his life because of
Mhm.
through. We lived through it too, you know, the fans.
Yep.
So, you know, that's if you ever watch my channel, I bitch about it a lot actually. Scott Gimple, damn it, you know, you don't care about the fans because you leave these plot holes and you take the characters and make them do things that's totally out of character, and that's a disservice to me. The dude that has spent all this time, you know, caring about this, you know, why you want to
Yeah.
do that, you know, and that's one big thing that we could sit here all day and talk about it, but we're never going to come to a resolution because there isn't one. Like, we don't know why the hell Maggie did that, you know, it's just, we don't know. Who the hell knows?
And it's like this is one of the key characters. They know with all these new spinoffs, you know, notice they're not making a new spinoff with a whole new cast. They're like, we want to have these established characters that are legacy characters that have been there for like a long time. And you would think that they put more thought into it than that. And maybe they did, and we're just not seeing it yet.
Yeah.
I hope that's what it is. I hope that we'll see more later.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have all these questions about, you know, what's going on, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I try to enjoy it for what it is, and
yeah, me too.
even though I bitch about some things and those things, I still try to, you know, aside from that, you know, I enjoyed it. It had some cool moments, you know, here and there.
Yeah, like I said, when Walking Dead's gone, I'm like, oh, I miss it. And then when it's back, I complain about it. That's the cycle I'm in. But I love it for what it is. I mean, it's still one of my favorite franchises out there. What do you guys think about
mine too.
Curly? Like,
Mine
why?
too. It definitely is one of my favorites as well. I
Yeah.
just, like you, James, like, I don't know. Scott Gimple always irritated the shit out of me because I'm like, you are just, you're not listening. Like, even when fans were like screaming, it was like he did what he wanted to do, and that's always how he ran The Walking Dead. He
Yeah.
like, it was very few moments where you could actually say they pulled from the comic book. And you can pretty much count them on one hand of exact moments that they pulled from the comic book. And I
And
thought,
there's some of
always
the best
thought those
parts.
were exactly, those were always my favorite part because I could sit there and tell you oh, that was this comic, you know, when when Negan had Carl and you know, singing "You Are My Sunshine." That like whole scene is what connected Negan to Carl because if you don't know, Negan used to be a gym teacher. He wasn't always this like asshole. They actually did like a one-shot comic of his backstory for one of the free comic book days. I forget which one it is, but that's where you
Yeah.
learn like Negan was a gym teacher. He actually really cared about kids and stuff like that. So when Carl was in front of him, he like he loved in his own sick twisted way, he quote unquote loved Carl and hated to have to do anything to hurt him, but he still had to put on this persona of Negan. So it was like Carl was like his buffer. And I feel like Carl being killed off destroyed a lot of the story.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
And
I don't
that's
know if
just
we'll ever
when,
know why they really made that decision writing wise. Everybody's got
and
their
that's
theories,
honestly where
right?
Walking Dead lost me. I was all for it up until that moment.
Yeah, that really got to me as well, and I think most fans struggle with that. Like of all the deaths that they've done, that's the one. That and Glenn are the ones I hear most about. But for me, Glenn like happened exactly how it did in the source material, more or less,
Exactly.
and that like that's why I'm cool
Because
with it.
yeah, because Glenn ushered in that whole rest of the story. You couldn't have had that story without Glenn dying
Yeah,
because that is the one death that absolutely broke Rick. Rick was
definitely.
broken. Like he was, and in the comic book it was Andrea, but in the TV show it was Michonne, and their character quote unquote like smacked the shit out of him like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Get your shit together. We got to do something about this.
Because
because
Glenn was
he
like
was
the
just
symbol of purity, right? Like he was the good-hearted guy who was always trying to help people.
yes.
He didn't kill
But
anybody until the satellite station. You know, like he was always,
exactly.
yeah.
But Last of Us is also feeling that now too, because you have those same people who didn't understand Glenn's death, they didn't understand Joel's death.
Hmm.
Like, because they don't know the source material. So it's like no matter what side of the coin you call, somebody's going to be unhappy.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, I think with the Glenn thing, a lot of that was making a whole gimmick out of it, where it was like, oh, who's Negan gonna kill? That was the big cliffhanger mystery. And then, you know, they kill
Mhm.
two people. That to me, I always had a problem with, because it took a lot of the like oomph out of that moment by
Yeah.
like separating it out. And also, like, they had to one up the comic with two deaths. You know,
Yeah.
one wasn't good enough.
Yeah, throwing
Yeah.
Abraham in there. Like, really?
Yeah.
You fucking. That's not how he dies in the comic book. You
Mhm.
throw that shit away just to give him more. Like, it.
It
I don't
was
know,
just,
Walking Dead.
yeah, it was just a gimmick, right? And it worked, though, is the thing. Like, the rated, that was like one of the most highly rated episodes, like in terms of viewership. And then it went off like down after that. So, like, I feel like if they made that the finale instead of, you know, this whole 2-episode affair, it might have turned out different. But, you know, that's
Yeah.
what happened. That's where we're at. So can't
You
change
know,
it now.
I learned early on when I was young and started playing music that if you are up in front of a bunch of people, not everybody's going to like every song you play. You just got to accept that, like from day one, or, you know, it's going to be a rough ride, right? So the thing is, though, as an artist, you know, up there on stage, whether you're cover tuning or originals or whatever, you know, the power in your art is being able to, oh, well, they didn't like the last 3 I did, not just the last one. So what do I think they want? And you try to give it to them. And if by the end of the show, everybody's cheering, you did your job. You created art that maybe started off a little bad, or you had a bad moment somewhere down the line, but you brought it back around. You realized, you read the audience, you know, you're like,
Yeah.
okay, let me do this, like a stand-up comedian would do or something. You read the audience, and you can, if you're good and you can read them, you can usually turn it around, right? Well, to me, people like Scott Gimple sometimes, they're not that. They're like, you know, I'm reading the room and everybody hates it, but I'm still gonna do whatever the hell I want to do, right?
Yeah, I think
But there's that
it's more
fucking
than just
but.
Scott too, right? I think there's like the corporate side of things too. Like I still, my theory is like the big war storyline with Negan and all that. Like, I think it was a corporate AMC decision. Like, let's make that 2 seasons. Even though
Yeah,
like any writer showrunner would be like, we can't have a war that lasts 32 episodes. Like, that's absurd. You know, but that's
yeah,
what they did. So I think it was like the big wig saying, we got to stretch this out, and Scott's just like, all right, I guess that's what I got to do. I got to make a bunch of filler, you know, which is what happened.
yeah,
So
yeah. There is. I think, I forget, was it us, Dana and Scarlett? Maybe we're talking another night about I think Scarlett put it too many shelves in the kitchen.
mm,
You know?
Right. Yeah.
Too
When
many.
you get too many people trying to spin different ideas, it starts to get a little muddy.
Yeah,
and I think Scott's like also spread pretty thin with all these different shows that they got going on. And now it's just down to 2, so maybe it's not as bad, but I'm sure they got stuff down the line that they're already
you
planning.
know, somebody on my channel, and I hadn't even thought of it this deeply. I knew that Scott Gimple was trying to follow Marvel a little bit and create a universe and have spinoffs, you know, and all this kind of stuff, right? And he's doing it, and so he, in a way. But also, one of the people on my channel said, I also think he's trying to do the multiverse aspect, and this
Oh no.
and this Negan Maggie show ain't even the same
No,
reality.
Don't
Oh,
say
no.
that and give them ideas, dude. No.
And I was like,
That's not. Oh, Jesus.
I was
We're
like, No,
We already had
man.
time travel in the Tales show, dude. Oh,
So,
don't give
yeah.
him ideas.
Yeah, it's funny. I thought it was funny.
Yeah, no,
Well, it's
that is
definitely
funny.
like anything. This would not happen in the comic books. I'll tell everybody
No.
out there right now. Negan and Maggie would not be kumbayaing for anything. And I don't even think if somebody had her son and she had to go to Negan, she is so like headstrong in the comic book that
Yeah,
she wouldn't.
Yeah,
She
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 would go
just
straight to
wouldn't
the
go to
person that
Negan.
had her son and fuck him up.
Yep.
She would
Pretty
fuck, fuck,
much.
fuck taking Negan. I don't need Negan. And
Like
Yeah,
she
yeah,
wants him totally dead. And she resented Rick for letting him live. Like
yeah,
after that moment, she really wanted nothing else to do with Rick because she was like, she felt like betrayed.
yeah.
Like, why
That's why she
did
was in
you let
Hilltop
him
on her
live?
own, right? It was because of that.
Yes,
a
she was
big part
not
of
going
it.
to go
Yeah,
back to
Yeah,
Alexandria to be with Rick after that.
yeah. That makes total sense. But I kind of like that they gave Negan more to do, because in the comic he just kind of like wandered off, and we never really found out what happened to him. So I like having him play a bigger role in the story after his arc is kind of over. So
Mhm.
that's one thing I do appreciate that the show did a little different. But yeah, you have a great point there about Maggie for sure.
yeah. It's cool to see the characters.
It
Even
is fun.
Daryl
I
and
like
and
it.
stuff.
Yeah,
Especially now that we've made it clear this is AMC's universe of The Walking Dead. They're not trying to feed me this is like the Walking Dead comic book. Like
yeah.
tell
There's
me
nothing
you're doing
left
fan
for them to
fiction.
do, right? Yeah,
Like I'm good with that. And I would have taken that even throughout the whole series. But I feel like they fed us this is The Walking Dead, and then they turned around and just fucked it all up. And it's like, and then they just kind of gave you this is the universe now to kind of shut people up. Like, okay, we know we fucked up, but now we're gonna call it the AMC universe, and now we're different. So you guys can't complain anymore.
yeah. I kind of knew they were never going to do the comic ending, which I think is a shame, because they really ended that very well. With the whole Rick Grimes being a legend thing. I know I wish we could have gotten that on screen, but I knew that they weren't going to do that, because they saw this and they're like, I said when this show came out, I was like, this could be like the new Star Wars, it just never ends. And they really took that and ran with it, and we'll see. I mean, I don't know how the viewership for this season is doing, but I think after they had the Rick storyline with the ones who live kind of wrap up, I don't know that people are going to stick around for the next chapter, but we'll see. What do you guys think?
yeah.
I
They
limped
stopped.
through I limped through the Rick show because
Oh,
it was
really?
just one show out of The Walking Dead that I was not interested in at all. And
Really?
I'm a little biased. Well, it's more so I'm biased. I don't like Michonne because she was really mean to like and nasty when we met her. And
Okay.
like Rick, I was just like, I don't like you left because you were homesick and all your bullshit, and now you're back because you couldn't get work doing anything else. And it's like the Rick and Michonne show. I boycotted in a sense, but I thought Daryl's show was really good. It wasn't awful.
Yeah, for season 1 was good. Season 2, they I don't know. We'll see with season 3. But I really liked the Rick show until the ending was so rushed. I thought that was that. I thought the vision I had, because you mentioned Marvel, and I knew that, like, I had it in my head, like the executives and Gimple, they all want the Marvel universe. Like every media company was trying to recreate the MCU essentially, and they're still kind of trying to do that. And I had it in my mind like, oh, this CRM storyline is going to span across Dead City. Like, I thought the New Federation had a connection with the CRM, and that's why they wanted the methane so bad. that's why, I viewed it as like they want the methane not just because they need a fuel source. It's more like they don't want somebody else to have a fuel source. That's what I visioned. But now it's like, I don't know. I don't know where we're going with that. And that's what I also thought with the Daryl show. I thought that's it, the CRM was going to be like a whole worldwide thing. So but now that storyline's wrapped up, I guess that's not really happening.
Nope.
So that's I thought that was going to be like for multiple years. Did you guys think that too, or am I just?
Everybody thought that.
Yeah.
And that's another part of the thing that you gotta, or I do anyway, I bitch about, is that they do stuff like that. Hey, this is how it is. They told us that. It's not that fans made that shit up and they did a little bit and theorized it a little bit, but that's what they were telling us and showing us, and the story they were giving us. They were doing that
perfectly. Like they spent years and years building this up across like 4 different shows. They had little hints.
It's like the whole World Beyond. Once they did the Rick and Michonne show, they're like, okay, well, let's just forget World Beyond. We'll forget the kids. We'll forget the scientist kids. We'll forget the kids that are going to war in Portland. We never heard of that. We'll forget the little kid we put in the CRM that Jadis did, Silas. Forget him. And we'll totally forget when we make the Daryl Dixon show and he goes to France, that the scientist that we put in the post-credit scene that we showed about that. We'll totally forget that.
They were like, we're going to the origin of the zombie outbreak. And it happened
and I hate to say it, Scott Gimple, I don't blame fans for divorcing you. That is grounds for divorce. Big time.
That was the first retcon we had in Walking Dead. Like they straight up ignored that. They were like, oh no, it's not fast zombies. It's like a serum that these scientists made. And they had the whole like graffiti that said the dead starts here or something like that on the wall. And and that seemed like it was going to hint at the origins.
Teams of scientists. One team went back to America. I mean, dude, all this stuff they set up.
That is one thing
so much potential.
Kirkman always said, we will never know what started the zombie apocalypse in his world. He said there's not one piece of information he was ever going to put out there. He wanted it to be left up to people. Well, what do you think started it? Do you think it was a meteorite? Do you think it was, some illness inside? That was one thing he was adamant on. And I
agree with that. Like it's about the drama. It's about the people, like the psychology, like how does the human mind change under the stress? But if you're going to keep this franchise going on for years and years, I would be okay with having, here's a show where we talk about the origin. I would be okay with that because we've had so many, different shows at this point. But, there's definitely potential there. I could see why they ended up not doing that because it's supposed to be about the characters. But at the end of the day, they already started it and then they went back on it. So that's where the frustration is, I think.
Yeah.
I honestly think what The Walking Dead needs, and if AMC is to do it again, is just start from scratch. Start from scratch and retell the story better. Because they did have their moments. They did have their moments throughout Walking Dead that I literally felt like I was reading the comic book. And I was extremely, extremely happy with some of the stuff that they did. But it's like, at this point, I feel like they're making spinoffs just to keep The Walking Dead relevant. And they're muddying the waters with the spinoffs. Like they're thinning out everything that The Walking Dead was. Like even with just the scene with the walkers fighting in the pit. Like what on earth? The Walking Dead walkers are not like that.
Yeah.
Like they're not like that. That's not what they do. So to just throw something in there and expect people not to be like, what the fuck? How are they doing that?
Yeah, I mean, now that they have all these different shows filming, like the guy who was in charge of the zombies, right? Like Greg Nicotero, he's working on the Daryl show, so he's not there to be like, "Hey, this doesn't make sense," like just the fact that all these different shows are happening all across the world now. So, and there's something too, like starting from scratch. but I think they're worried about it because like Fear didn't really kick off the way they wanted. You know, that they rebooted it halfway through with Morgan, and like the first 3 seasons of that show were decent, but it wasn't, you know, as good, right? So I think I hesitate to say a reboot though, because I don't know. We've already seen it, right? I mean, how do you rejuvenate the franchise at this point? I don't know. Maybe starting with a new cast, new characters, new country. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's tough.
if you know
Maybe an animated show that's just
yeah,
straight to comic.
yeah, the biggest thing people ask have always. I mean, I can't even remember a time in all my time of doing this that people haven't said that's what they want is, you know, and I thought they were going to give it to us with Tales from the Walking Dead, but I didn't enjoy all of those episodes, just a couple of them actually. But what they could do with a show like that and not get big actors all the time, you know, that's the whole thing about, you know, like these guys, like by the time you have somebody like Jeffrey Dean Morgan that's been Negan for so long, they have to pay him a whole bunch of money now, you know. So you could start a show where, you know, just bring in actors like Law and Order does, you know, just one here and there, that kind of thing. And it be tales from the early days, military people, first responders, and, you know, just normal people, but the early day stuff. And people would eat that shit up if they did it right.
Definitely.
You know, and it just be an anthology, you know, like a Tales type.
Like have
show.
one about the president, you know, like
people that would be the most watched episode in all of the Walking Dead universe. I can almost guarantee it.
Yeah, there's so much potential with an anthology. Yeah,
I'm kind of curious. What Scarlet, for somebody who knows nothing about like this universe, that this is like the one show you sat down and watched. As somebody who is outside of the box, what would you want more of?
Well, I mean, I don't know. That's hard to even say because this isn't like the things I would want more of are not going to be what fit the genre. So it's already for me. I'm like at a disadvantage anyways because the kind of things that you're going to get, the elements that you're going to get in this show are not always the elements I want to begin with. That are going to keep my attention. Okay. I know the zombies are going to be an afterthought. That's just the way it is. So I'm already going to be like, well, you know, of course I want the zombies to be more of a threat. I want them to be more of kind of the apocalypse because it's a zombie apocalypse, not a Mad Max apocalypse, which is what we pretty much get. I mean, even with the zombie fight, like in the fucking dome, of course it's not as threatening, right? Because it's zombies. They didn't even have them in a cage. So...
Well, the real reason that they aren't a threat in this scene is Maggie's been fighting them for how long did you say? 17 years at this point.
Yeah.
And we know that they're not going to kill Maggie, you know. And Ginny's a new character that we know still has a character arc. We know she's not going to die at this point. It kind of lost.
They got their plot armor and stuff. It's just like they had them, you know, the dogfight kind of scene. Like the zombies are used as such a
tool,
thrown in afterthought that they're not even, like I said, they were supposed to meant to be scary when she was fighting them, you know, to claim her spot or any of the females, but it really didn't seem that scary. Like they kind of try to make it seem scary, but it was like a weird scene for me because when I watched it, I was like, okay, this is a scene where everybody's supposed to be freaked out. You got to fight the zombies. Like, oh my God. But the little girl was fighting them like it wasn't shit. She's fighting them like it wasn't shit. And I know that's because they've been seasoned, right? But still, you're in a cage with a more than one or two zombies, and all you're really fighting with is a knife. The zombies, you can push them off. I mean, they were, you know, because they're zombies. They're not even the fast zombies. They're not even the scary zombies that we see in other shows. So with this genre, I'm already at a disadvantage to ask like what I want more from it because it is what it is.
What if Jenny just suddenly broke out in some Huck Fu
all right,
karate?
You want to know what would have made this more interesting is if right here, for whatever reason, during this fight, she would have actually gotten bitten or something, where she would have actually, that would have been like, oh shit, that would have been fear, that would have re-solidified the danger of, because right now I feel like they're just kind of zooming through zombies, like the zombies again are just so much of an afterthought of danger, and that's based off of one episode, right? That's
it didn't really used to be though. That's the thing. Like this show used to have like anybody can die at any time.
But look, then they had Fear the Walking Dead that went from like season 5 to 8, and no main character died ever till like.
And they just hung
Troy or
around and did
something.
nothing. Like, oh my
And that
goodness.
is something that is not the comic book. In the comic book, Robert Kirkman was killing people. He was Game of Throning it like
Yeah,
throughout his series.
yeah.
Like
I think towards the end he kind of got over that. He didn't kill as many
You
towards
know?
the end, but like he kept
well,
it
there really
interesting with
wasn't
other
there
stuff.
really wasn't many people left. So you still need
Yeah.
somebody at the end, and
Yeah.
that's why I still kind of like the old
Yeah.
man Carl sort of deal.
Yeah,
But
he had
that
to
is one thing in the comic
build
book,
up to
no
Rick.
one was safe. Hell, they
Yep.
fucking killed a newborn baby in their mother's arms.
Oh,
They
snap.
They did.
Like,
Yep.
you know,
And everybody was like, "There's
it's-
no way they're gonna kill that baby." They killed that baby, and it
I-
wasn't
I
just
knew
that
off
baby
the
in that
bat
issue. It
they
was
weren't
like
It was
gonna do
a
that.
full panel too. You
Yeah.
turn the page in the comic, and the
that was
next
brutal.
full page was that happening.
I never read something so fast in my life as I read the end of that prison arc. Man, I flipped through that so quick.
And
That was
again,
the most intense ever.
You could
Well,
kind of
that
tell too,
danger
like you
is
didn't know
in
they
the
weren't going to
comic book.
die. Like you just know it's just this episode. There's so much plot armor because of the fact that these characters have to be able to make it through to a certain point, and that's episodes, right? This is a TV. Or if it was a movie, some of this stuff it would be a lot more fast, and your characters
Yeah.
are going to have to kind of be killed off, or something's going to happen a little bit faster. This is going to have to be drug out a little bit more, so it's more flash and less substance for me is what I'm getting. I'm getting a lot of flashiness. Okay, we're showing off stuff, but it's just to carry us through until we get to this final big shabam, probably towards the middle, or we might get one in the middle of the season, might get one at the end, whatever.
Yes.
The characters will get shaken up. We'll see who survives and is there at the end. And I don't know if this season is going to let us have like a standalone for New York, or if it's still going to be like the ongoing battle is going to continue for another season or something. I don't know, but
well, they matched the like plot armor aspect with this other thing that they do. We didn't get to see it in this episode, but in like all of these spinoffs, they're like, we'll introduce a character and they kill them by the end of the episode. And they had so many characters that they like could have done more with, even in this show. Like in the first season of this show, like a lot of people that were like could have been interesting and developed more ended up getting killed at some point. So,
even like in the church scene, right? All right, guy got shocked or whatever, fine. And then they show off the flamethrowers. I legit thought it would have been so fucking cool to see one person step up and have to get like fired up, and his ass is like flaring through the fucking chapel and running out the doors and like falls right outside of the fucking church, you know, it's like burnt up, and everybody's like, yeah, all right, well, we don't want that for us, we're all on board. But it was this like almost
that wasn't in the
fake-ass
budget.
show.
That wasn't in the budget.
Well, it's like this fake show of power, right? Like we get it, like it's portrayed, but it's still, to me, it just wasn't enough. Because I'm like, okay, all these guys see that like they see what you have, but one dude's already planning to take it from you, and you really don't have any kind of security. There's nothing, like you didn't really accomplish anything out of that other than for the people to know that you have methane.
Yeah. I mean,
all that show,
nothing, right?
And that was a lot of show, right? Like they set up a huge show. She even said it. The chick's like, give them a good show. Well, you gave them a good show, and you showed off what you have. You showed off the fact that there might have some people coming in, and you didn't kumbaya nothing. You didn't get anything together, and you're at more danger than you were before you stepped into the chapel.
Yeah, and at the same point, it's also, you know, I'm also wondering, like, what is the motivation for, you know, like how are they going to stop them from taking over, right? Like how they have methane. They showed they basically flashed their riches in front of them. Like, here's what you could take from us.
And they didn't even really hurt anybody with it, right? Because the people that are in this chapel, they made it very clear that they are not people who care about law. It seems as if they care about force and power. And you flashed off like somebody who's rich showing off their jewelry, and you got a bunch of criminals here getting ready to take it off your hands.
Yeah.
You didn't really show much force. You electrocuted the dude a little bit, but was it really all that serious? Because he didn't die from it. I mean, he's okay. I'm assuming all you did is piss him off.
Yeah. I mean, I at the other point, it's like if he did actually kill him, would that mean that like that's starting a fight? Like everybody would try to, rush the stage, rush the altar.
No, they got the flamethrowers. Remember, because he shocked
tell
him,
you
and
right
they shocked him, and they were going to rush the stage. They went to rush, and they just did the flamethrowers, but they didn't catch nobody on fire. I would have caught somebody on fire.
I could tell you right
Pick an
now,
underling.
Negan from the comic books would have killed this dude.
That's
Negan
what I'm
from the
saying.
comic
Like
books
it was
would've
such
bashed his
a
brains in.
half-ass show of force, in my opinion. So again, I mean, plot armor we got to carry through, and we'll see what happens.
I do appreciate we can have Negan do F-bombs now.
Yeah. Note to self: don't piss off Scarlet.
Yeah, right.
I like. Well, I can say this: at least as shitty as The Last of Us may be, when they used a flamethrower, they used a fucking flamethrower.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. But it's
They
like
do have
almost
more
that
budget on
same
that show.
thing. That same thing is happening in The Last of Us too, right, Scarlet? Like they're just on their horse traveling through Seattle, not a care in the fucking world.
Right.
Like you're in an apocalypse. Like you
Like
can't tell
even
me you're
in
just
other
gonna stroll
TV
down.
series, right, where they have a threat, they make that threat always known. Even in, and I mean, I know I bring True Blood up a lot as a comparison because I feel like it's another TV series that was about not so much apocalypse, but you had a supernatural element to it that was sort of could have been apocalypse. Like it got to a point to where things weren't looking too good between the two factions, and they still managed to have pretty much all of these same elements. They had different factions between humans and the supernatural forces, and they all had all these different powers at play, but they still had the danger there, right? Like people knew when they went outside, there was always this impending danger of some sort of supernatural at play. And it wasn't just vampires, of course, but you knew that. Like even if you kind of forgot about it for a second, for whatever reason, they made sure to reiterate that. And I don't feel like for whatever reason, the zombie apocalypse shows, they always miss that mark for me.
Yeah, I mean, well, Walking Dead was like that for the first couple seasons with the zombies, and then it became, the humans are the real threat. And that's
right.
what kept it interesting for a while. So yeah, that's definitely valid from an outside perspective. Just seeing like, oh, the zombies don't feel like a big threat because they're pretty much not at this point, unless they're a big horde.
Mm-hmm.
No,
or you have
and
a
like
character
in the
that's just
comic
incompetent.
books, that is one thing they did. Each villain got worse than the one before it. Like they always progressed their villains,
right,
to make the one that prior to them look like child's play. So each villain did get worse and worse. And I just wish it's like when you do shows like this, I feel like sometimes they take the star into consideration more than what the show could possibly do. Because if you give somebody so much plot armor, how do you appreciate the story? Because in stories you have loss, you have those sort of things that you're dealing with, and to automatically start to protect everybody, like the big thing was with The Walking Dead, if Daryl dies we riot.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like that sentiment alone, I think they were so worried about how many people would turn off because of Daryl that he was always safe, no matter
And
what.
they
And
definitely
he's not from the comic. His character was strictly made for the TV show. He is not from the comic book whatsoever.
Yeah,
So
and,
it's
and
like,
they
if that's how you're gonna play it, I get where you're coming from, Scarlett. Like, how do we take this seriously?
and they overcorrected a big time when it comes to like the Glenn scene. Like a lot of people turned off after that, and a lot of people were saying like, "Oh, it's too brutal." I disagree with that. I like the brutality. I'm a horror fan, but I think they overcorrected and pulled back on character deaths and brutality as a result, and it didn't bring people back. If anything, it like led to more people leaving because the people that stayed and with the show after that were like, "Where is that aspect?" So, yeah, there's definitely something to that for sure.
And again, like my critiques are sort of misplaced because again, it's not sort of my genre.
Yeah, it's a drama, right?
Right. So,
Yeah.
and I don't mind them. It's just, again, I particularly am not into like these sort of TV shows. So, and I'll still watch them because there are elements that I do like about it. But I feel like I give an unfair judgment or even like to give suggestions for it. And that's why I hate that when people watch something and they give like unfair critiques to it, because it's not something like, especially with horror and sci-fi and stuff like that, right? Because if you're not into the genre, then of course your critiques are not going to really be as valid, or at least that's my opinion. That's why I was like, oh, you really want my opinion on this one? Because I don't feel like it's not to say it's not valid, but it's not as.
It's like going into a romantic comedy and being like, where are the action scenes?
Right, so I feel like it's unfair for me sometimes to say certain things on it. Not that I mind critiquing it. It's just I'm not giving as fair as you guys. I feel like you guys are a little bit more fair with it.
It's cool to see that aspect and how you explained it.
It's exactly like you don't have the knowledge that we have. So hearing somebody who's literally just watching the show with fresh eyes, like,
well, you picked up on what
always interesting.
Yeah, like you picked up on that scene with Maggie and Ginny, like, oh, there's no real danger here. Us having been watching this show for so long, we just took that as a given. Like we all knew that, but hearing that a newcomer say that as well just goes to show, like, there is something lost there.
Well, there's a weird chemistry in that scene alone because, like, the way they portrayed it, it was as if it was forced. Like even the acting in it, it felt like they were forcing this sort of scary danger. But then again, it was like they're as soon as they go into the pit, they're just like step, we fucking kick ass, And I'm like, okay, well, what the hell were y'all scared of? Like you're like, no, don't go in there. Oh my god, we're gonna die. Oh my god, pow, 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 fucking 5 zombies on one. Pow, give a shit. I'm like, well, what the fuck were y'all worried about? And like everybody's standing around, like the zombies are corralled, like they're not even fucking. She opens the door, like none of the zombies attempt to run after nobody. These are the most slowest. So I don't know. It's just it's whatever. I'm sorry. I told you not to ask me shit.
If there's a zombie movie, what would be your favorite zombie movie?
Well, most of the classic zombie movies I enjoy because they're movies. They're usually around an hour and a half, 2 hours long. They're pretty quick at getting to the point. So, oh God, I haven't watched any of them in so long. I didn't mind any of the Resident Evils, honestly. I didn't mind The Walking Dead or what is it? Land of the Dead. 7 days.
George Romero's.
Yeah, 7 days, 7 weeks, that one or whatever. That was all good because again, they get kind of to a point to where like, okay, the zombies to me and those are more dangerous in every one of the movies because they don't have time for all of the extra stuff as much. So you're getting to point A and B faster. Therefore, you're going to run into the zombies a little bit more. Again, so yeah, Dawn of the Dead, all that stuff, like they're all of those are fine. Pretty much any zombie movie you show me, I'm probably gonna like it. It's just it's the TV series because once you open, it's more of an open world type situation. Now you're having filler, and they tend to go with the more human filler, and you have to add in all of those elements of what is kind of going on. And to me, it just kind of gets more drawn out and. That's when the zombies aren't scary anymore.
It's supposed to be about the emotions, right, between the characters. Right. And where we get that in this episode is like what's going on with Negan, what he's going through. And you need all the context of the years and years that he's been on the show to really feel that. As somebody, you haven't seen any of that, you don't necessarily feel like where Negan's at, right? Like you're not getting the context.
Right. All right, so Shaun of the Dead, there you go. That one's perfect.
Shaun of the Dead, classic.
Most perfect zombie movie ever.
Did you guys see Train to Busan?
I have not seen that one yet, but I need to because Dana talks about that one. I've seen
dead shitty, more like it. But I'm curious, Jarvis, like what are your complaints about it? I want to hear like complaints and opinions and stuff because that's what kind of opens up our eyes to things that we might not have seen before. Because again, I always tell people I'm biased when it comes to The Walking Dead. I'm very, very biased because I am at heart a Walking Dead comic fan.
Yeah,
And like
me too.
that has always been my, like, even when my husband, before my husband, like, Walking Dead was always like, I love that comic book. And I feel like no matter what they probably would have given me, I would have been super, super critical anyway, regardless, because I'm such a fan of that comic book. But it was like literally watching this show at sometimes was like a knife to my heart because I was just like, you're taking that aspect, like you say, the danger out of it. Because now we're worried about the stars and fan favorites and everything like that. So it just makes me curious, like a regular person who knows nothing, like, what do you think of this show? Because
I'm
I know
definitely
why I'm
also biased.
against it.
I'm biased in the opposite direction where like I will inflate my score by like 2-3 points, you know. So like I like this episode, you know. It's like a solid 7 out of 10. I'm looking forward to the rest of the season, whereas, you know, Dana, you might subtract 2 points, right? Because it's not the comic. Is that what you would you agree with that or no?
No, because even talking to James, I said, I'm ready for this because you've already told me from the beginning, this is not The Walking Dead. This is our universe of
Got
The
it.
Walking Dead. So I've kind of put that on the shelf, so to speak. And I'm trying to watch this as somebody who's like, okay, this is fan fiction. Let's see what you could do. Let's see what you could do. You have these characters. I love the way they're portraying New York City. The story, I'm still 50-50 because I still don't believe the whole Maggie Negan thing. Like, it's taken me a little while to still believe that these two would even be able to coexist in any realm. But like,
I think they wrote it pretty well in season 1 as far as like their dialogue back and forth between them, where it was like
but I
Maggie's like,
have
"Yeah, I'm never
definitely
going to
taken
forgive
this
you."
out of my Walking Dead bubble. So I'm trying to watch this with like regular eyes, like a fan of who's just a fan of zombie stuff. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to come from a different perspective. I'm trying to leave my
Right.
biasy like aside.
A few
What
things
about
as
you,
far
James?
as
Like, yeah,
a few things like as far as watching it, sometimes when we review it and talk about it like this, my critique comes out. But like if I could just sit and watch it, and I've said it probably before, is I take it like this is someone retelling the story, like some survivor that either heard about it or lived through it a little bit with these characters is retelling it over a campfire. So it's not going to be exact, and you're not going to know, you know, you don't want to stop the guy telling the story every 5 minutes going, well, why didn't Maggie do this? Or, you know, or something.
Yeah, that's a
So,
good way to look at it.
so that's when I try to look at it. But at the same time, as far as knowing that it's definitely not the comic universe and it's TV, and TV, you know, even the comic, I guess, did gimmicky things to make you want to get the next issue or whatever, but not like they're doing it at AMC. So
Yeah.
you look at it like, you know, like Dana said, you'd never see these characters together in the comic like this, even probably for propaganda or marketing purposes. But that's why they're doing it here. That's why they're
That's
together.
the gimmick.
It's a gimmick, right? So, and here's the thing: why, you know, they're going to play out these characters for probably as long as they can before they start the next generation of all these kids. Every main character has a kid. Every main character has a kid. Why? Because they're setting up the next generation. They may not go back to the start and start with a new cast or something and from the beginning. It almost seems like they don't want to, which I would just say is their cash cow, but they're definitely setting up the next generation, but they're trying to milk these actors before they get to grandma age, you know? And so we'll see a few more seasons, I think, and that's just what we got to deal with as fans, because it's a TV engine, or you know what I'm saying. It is what it is as far as them trying to make money, you know, stretching it.
Yep, it's the cash cow. Well, you guys, I'm sure, James, you heard about the original version of the final scene of the original show. You heard about this?
I'm not really sure what you're talking about.
Oh,
but
okay. They had
Yeah.
an alternate version of the ending of the original show that they actually
you mean
filmed
like season 11?
season 11. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. You heard about that?
yeah, I think so. But go ahead and tell it.
Yeah. They had
Yeah, I
an
haven't.
alternate scene before they got Rick back. What that ending scene was essentially just a trailer for the Rick show, right? But they originally had a whole nother scene where it was Judith all grown up, and it was Herschel all grown up. Who all was there? They had all the kids there, and they were driving into the city, and they had RJ all grown up saying a line that Rick said in the pilot episode, driving into the city. So that was like their pilot for the Next Generation show. They already filmed it. We have like behind the scenes photos with all the actors portraying the characters. So we know that that's what they want to do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they have it. They just didn't use it. But we know that that's, just something they got in their head. And, that's
I mean,
just, we just got to watch it play out, I guess.
Yeah, it's also just kind of like, at what point does a zombie apocalypse end when we have, multiple factions with a lot of resources? We got the CRM, we got the Commonwealth.
Right.
How
This
far can
isn't
you really go?
apocalypse anymore. We've passed apocalypse. We're almost veering towards like whatever reestablishing humanity in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rebuilding society.
And we're getting there as it is. Although it still seems far off based on how much destruction there is in New York City.
Oh yeah,
which
now
I
it's
love
just
the
going to
destruction.
try to. Because you got to think in a sense, society has been set back so much. They're basically back to where we were when you have all these different groups of people fighting for power and resources, which we still do to this day. But like the way wars are now, it's not the same. They're back to the way wars were before we had technology, where the way we fight now is a lot different. We're not going to have as many bloodbaths. They're probably going to have a lot more bloodbaths because they're going back to sort of old school means of warfare. So you've got to, and that's what they were trying to, I think, show with having the power and talking about how we'll have medicine and all this technology come back, sort of bringing the world back to where it was, back, what we lost. So yeah, to me, it seems like they've got a long way to go to get back to it. So we're at that point of, again, we're at factions where it's the zombies are not so much a threat. Now it did show something like it looked like, and you put it on the thumbnail, Dana. And it's good if they do that because they really do need to. If this is going to continue to be a zombie apocalypse, they have to bring back that zombie threat a little bit more. So if they're going to bring this like fused together looking zombie creature, that brings in some other kind of lore to whatever the zombies are. Okay, I didn't know.
Yeah.
I just saw it in on her thumbnail. I was like, okay, well, that's interesting as fuck. So they got to bring more of that stuff.
It was on screen for like less than a minute.
Well, then that sucks. Like I said, that's the kind of shit that irritates me about, and I get it. It's every sort of zombie. The movies are already hard enough, right? Because the movies sort of bring them in again as a way to carry the story. So like instead of having all the drawn out moments between the characters here where they actually fully get to kind of develop those dramatic moments, usually in the movie a zombie comes in for most of those and kind of interrupts it, so we gotta get the fuck on, right? And somebody dies, so on and so forth, and it kind of repeats that cycle until you're down to the final whatever. Here it's very much so, even more that they're less of a threat. And so again, is it a zombie apocalypse or is it kind of just like a sort of apocalypse? I mean, they're there.
Well, that was like one of the gimmicks they had.
Because in the last scene, I don't know if you guys heard it. You heard stuff. You heard like animals. You heard zombies. So the end shot actually creeped me out a little bit because, like, you just heard the noises of everything, and I was like, okay, maybe. Like, are we gonna go like trekking through Central Park and it's just gonna be a fucking massacre? Because that's what they said, kind of like they use as their buffer zone. So
well, yeah, it was no man's land.
Shit in there.
Yeah, they call it no man's land because no man comes out alive.
Yeah, they're setting up something there.
I mean, and we'll see. Like, if the people that are coming with the Babylonian group come through that, like, again, they're assuming like they're going to use this area and stuff like that. But hey, you're going to have to direct people to go through here. I mean, we'll see how all that works. It seems like they're trying to set up to kind of funnel them to trap them. But then again, we know that the girl's going to have her deal. Yeah, she's going to do her thing. There's so many different characters that have the plot armor, so you know that people are going to be funneled, but they're going to be okay until you get to this one point. And for the most part, it doesn't seem like they're going to kill off any of these main characters necessarily.
What do you guys think? Like, or sorry, I cut somebody off. I've been wondering, like, why does Pearlie want Maggie to go so badly? And I have one theory. I was just curious what you guys thought before I said my theory.
Y'all probably have better ones than me. I'm just assuming it has something to do with her knowledge of the place, maybe. I don't know.
That's how I was thinking. But she hasn't been, like, to sit there and say she knows her way around New York. Yeah, I highly doubt that. I've lived here my whole life and I still don't know.
Well,
still don't know my way around New York. I have to look at my husband like, where's that?
She does not.
Uptown, downtown.
She's badass, I guess. He was like, yeah, she's a better soldier than, so I guess she's weathered and he just likes her.
Well, one other angle, if you could fit it into the theory, is that any theory is that first season they went to New York and had the whole thing about exchanging Negan for her son, and all that happened. So Pearlie comes back to the governor lady and says he killed him.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So they're about to go on a exploratory mission, then might see him alive.
Right.
That's my theory. Is I think Pearlie's gonna ask Maggie, like, you got to help me kill Negan, or at the very least, like, keep my secret.
Yeah, that's true.
And he picks her because she's the only one that, like, he knows and kind of trusts a little bit.
And knows who he is and everything. Is not gonna.
Yeah.
And you saw him, like, at this scene right here when he's looking at the hang guy. You know, I think Pearlie and Maggie think a little bit more alike versus everyone else there, because you know, he don't
they totally devasculated him. Them two, the mayor lady chick or whatever, and the other sharpshooter chick.
And first season they talk about I think he's got some daughters or something.
Yeah,
and first season the governor lady was asking about them really personally.
Yeah,
like she's watching.
You gotta stay in line, yo.
Yeah,
see, that's why I can't stand some of this kind of stuff, because I'm like, can we, like, just kill these people off? I mean, it's apocalypse. There's nobody who's gonna fucking do something.
Yeah, she's all like, you gotta smoke this cigar with me. You gotta break your personal code. You know.
I know, but they were such a bitch to that dude back there, though. They wouldn't let him have a damn cigar.
Yeah, right.
It's not time for the cigar yet.
No, they let everybody else grab one. That little sharpshooter was being a bitch to our scribe back there. That was not cool. I don't appreciate that. I mean, yeah, he's a little dorky or whatever, but he was part of the team.
In the original Walking Dead,
you don't get one kind
of
thing.
In the original Walking Dead, there's a character, the governor. She calls herself the governor. The governor in the original Walking Dead had a little guy like that called Milton that he treated the same way.
That's so true, dude.
That shit.
This is the third governor we had now.
I'm recording history.
I kind of hope he's the one that kills the little sharpshooter lady somewhere down the line. Like, she pushes him too far and he snaps, and they just out in the middle of nowhere and he gets away with it.
No, we know this dude with the notebook is dying, right? I mean, come on.
Well, I mean, I didn't say he's going to survive entirely. I just, can he take out the other chick, the sharpshooter chick that hung the dude?
Yeah, let's do it.
Oh my god, she gets on my, like, I'm gonna actually cheer when I hope she dies, like, brutally. Like,
I kind of hope this guy gets to take a lick on her, because she's mean to him. It was unnecessary and uncalled for.
Do you guys get the sense that, like, Pearlie, in addition to, like, them pushing his buttons and trying to control him and stuff, but he also seems to not be on board with, like, hanging people and stuff, even though when he was introduced in season 1, he was killing people to try to get what he wants right away. So has there been a change in him that he no longer wants to enforce like the death penalty and stuff like that.
Well, he
Or
seemed like he wanted people to kind of just be on board with it, and he didn't want to have to go that route. Like,
yeah,
because
he was trying to convince them with the
because it's
carrot,
not like
right?
they're actually fighting. The way that they were spinning it to the people wasn't as if they were fighting because of an incoming threat to the people. It was more like the government wants you to do this right now because we need to go secure something financially for ourselves.
I mean,
Not
that
for
would
the
have been
people, really.
so much of a better tactic to just go in and be like, these people want to kill us. They have these resources that are going to be able to steamroll us. Like, we have to take them out first. Like, that would have been much more persuasive than even hanging somebody, you
Because
know?
they're not offering nothing or anything
Yeah.
like that. He knows that. So all basically what the Federation is coming in and is doing is that they're drafting, and you don't get a choice in the matter. And if you go AWOL or whatever, then they're going to give you death. You get the death penalty.
Well, this goes back to my point of like, how is this group still in power? Because like they don't have the carrot, they only have the threat, you know. So keep people in line. So
Well, I mean,
it'll
if
be
you got
interesting to
enough
see
force
more about them.
behind it, then people are, I guess, needing the resources. But I don't know if they're going to survive after this if they don't get the methane, because they're apparently it was showing that their resources are about to be plummeting. They're not going to
But
have
like,
their.
with Maggie's people, are they is New Babylon giving Maggie's people at the bricks resources? Are they even giving them anything? It doesn't
I thought
seem
they
like
were.
it.
So I don't know what the treaty is, so I'm not fully aware of what they're supposed to
I
be
don't think they ever
receiving.
really explained the treaty.
Yeah, that's part of the thing I
Yeah.
bitch about. They don't. It's
But
very
Maggie's
vague.
not about treaties, right? She wants to do her own thing. Like, she
Here's
doesn't want to
here's
be
the thing.
involved.
So you've got first season. You've got the bricks that doesn't seem to be a part of the New Babylon Federation, but now
Now
it
we got
is.
this sign.
There's the sign. So what she said, it was one line in the episode.
Mhm.
They cut off our trade with our trade partners
Mhm.
and forced us into this federation.
Yep,
Well,
into the treaty.
that part needs to be explained just anyway in itself if you're going to mention it, because are the trade partners just other members of the federation? Were there outside communities that they were trading with? How did they cut off their trade partners? There's a lot
By
of
force.
questions.
I mean, I would just assume it was by force, the way they do everything. Either you agree and sign on board, or we're going to kind of force you to do it.
And it's 1,000. I mean, 1,000 times 1,000 against Maggie's character for her to still be there.
Yeah, she would
have
want to
not
leave,
packed her
right?
shit and went somewhere else, even if it's another shitty place like this and not back to Commonwealth. She would not have accepted that. So there's just a lot of
like, go to Commonwealth. What is wrong with you guys? There's
Right.
ice cream.
And welcome. I'm sorry, Starlight CC was hanging out with us, and looks like Rozzy just joined us. Welcome, guys.
what's up? We're
What's
just
up, everybody?
talking shit.
Yeah, I don't.
I want to see what's going on in the Commonwealth. Like, that's where my
Yeah.
brain is at. Like, what's going on with CRM? What's going on with Commonwealth? That's what I'm curious about. We got this new group, and they're just like, I don't like them. I want them gone.
Yeah, and it's
going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
It's in the future, almost like they never mentioned the other places. Like, I thought like helicopters were going everywhere, helping all these communities and bringing them a part of this.
Where's the supply drop? Where's my kill streak at? What I mean? Like my Call of Duty kill streak.
The only thing I can think of is Rick Grimes maybe unalived at this point, like in the comic.
Yeah. I mean, that would suck, but they might as well.
That could be too. And I'm sorry, that pissed me off something fierce. When they chopped off Rick's hand in his new fucking TV show, I was like,
oh, really?
What? Why did you guys fucking bother? They bitched and moaned about doing it to begin with, because they did it. He'd have to walk around with the green glove and whatever. Then you chop off Aaron's hand, and then you chop off Rick's hand anyway. Like, what the fuck was the point of that?
Every single show has to have somebody without a hand. That's just how the rules go.
Well, no, just so Scarlet gets some context, in the comic book, Rick loses his hand in like the beginning of the comic book, and he gets a makeshift like thing on his hand, and everything like that. And when the TV show came around, they said, "Oh, how are we going to do that? How are we going to have him walk around the apocalypse with one hand? It's not feasible to do on a TV show." And then it's like they go ahead and do it anyway. Like, why, if since you changed it to begin with, and like, why do it to somebody else? If you're not going to do it to the person it happened to, why do it somebody else?
I
And then
actually
now
liked it
in the
with Rick
latest
though.
show, they
It was
fucking
like
do it,
finishing his
and I'm like,
story.
you fucking bastards! Like, do you want to make me mad? Like,
I
is it
thought it was
are you
cool in the
purposely
Rick
trying to
show.
get me angry? Like, can't you
No, I
just
get
give
that.
me a
Yeah.
break? Like,
So
I
let me say this. This is an actor thing. Like, yeah, we're talking earlier. Like sometimes it's a production thing more than story thing or something like that, and how outside stuff changes production stuff. So the reason Rick cut his hand off in the show is because the actor wanted to. Gimple never wrote it in the original script. It wasn't going to be in the movies until the actor, and he admits it. He wanted it in there. He pushed it, you know. So it's like,
I think they were trying to do it for comic fans too, which is kind of funny to hear
yeah.
your reaction to it.
So it's like how much influence the actors, especially at that point, have in the storytelling. Well, we were talking earlier. Why wasn't any of World Beyond stuff added into the story? It's because the actors have.
They didn't watch it.
Well, yeah, they've just at the point where they're executive producer and they have input in the story.
They got co-creator credit, which
And
means
so,
they were getting percentages on the show.
that's actually affecting the storytelling. I mean, for real. So it's like the stories we were talking about with the scientists and stuff, maybe a whole different thing with different characters or something, because the main characters pretty much said, you know, like for The Ones Who Live, I don't want any of the World Beyond stuff in this story. This is a love story between these two characters, and that's just too much to add into all of it, you know?
Well, given they wanted to wrap it all up in 6 episodes, there was no way that they could have incorporated all that anyway. So it was just like a missed opportunity. And honestly, I wasn't that big on that show, so I was kind of okay that they didn't bring those kids back. But still, it
Just
does feel
it's
like
just a lore thing. I mean, you know,
yeah. It's a plot hole for sure. Like it's missing.
It was a different universe. It was a
Yeah.
different reality.
Multiverse.
I'm shocked that you're saying that Rick pushed for that, but it doesn't surprise me because of the things I've heard of just
Andrew Lincoln.
His self. He's just that doesn't surprise me at all.
And you know, it is what it is, but I also, that's why I'm thinking that he may also push for the comic ending of Rick. Like, I want this character to die, you know, so they're trying to work that in somehow, and it may happen in that interim of somewhere between when he gets back and when this Dead City show happens.
Well, they mentioned that crossover series, and I kind of thought we all thought that was going to be the wrap up of the CRM plot line, but now maybe it is giving Rick that real ending at this point. But we could complain about Andrew Lincoln having input on the story, but that episode that Denai wrote I thought was really good with them in the hotel thing. Or was that a hotel or just, I don't know, like a futuristic apartment type deal?
Yeah, some weird place they just found out of the blue.
Yeah, they just happened to be walking distance from after jumping out of a helicopter. But I thought that episode was real good.
We'll see. Like I said, I'm trying to put my biases behind me. I'm trying to at least watch Dead City because being a New Yorker, I still think it's cool. I still think it's pretty cool to see what they did with the apocalypse and how New York looks and how they portray it. And, you know, so that aspect definitely piques my interest.
I'm looking forward to the Negan stuff for sure.
I'm 50-50 right now.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, like I got the whole first one. Dude took your son. You had to go get him. You reached out to Negan. You went on your little adventure. But now it's like they just needed something, so they threw in the methane. Like we have to have this go a couple more seasons, so we need something. So let them war over some methane or something. Like I just feel like the story, they're just throwing it together right now just to keep The Walking Dead kind of relevant.
Maybe,
And
yeah.
There's going to be more
I'm
flamethrowers, Scarlet.
Yeah. Somebody better catch
promises,
on fire.
promises. We'll see. We'll see what they do with those said
There are little things in the writing that I do appreciate. Like in this episode, you'll notice there's a lot of stuff about insects. Like the moths are a symbol of the ethanol going away.
Right.
The
The meat on the
cockroaches.
roaches.
Yeah, and Negan has a line in the episode where he says, "Oh, it's crunchy on the outside and soft on the inside. I like it." And
that's how I like
that's him talking about himself. He's describing himself as a cockroach because that's, he has that hard exterior and he's soft on the inside. That's his character, how it's been revealed at this point. So that, to me, I like those little details. And when I mentioned the thing with the Statue of Liberty at the end of last season, like they didn't show it until the end, and then it represented having freedom, but it doesn't mean what you thought it meant. And I those little details are the kind of thing I like just as a screenwriter. I love the little motifs that they continue to like fall back into. So that's one thing with the writing of this show, that there is a little bit more thought put into that stuff. So less into the overall lore. Like we have all these questions about what's going on, but they do have, that quality in the dialogue and, little motifs like that. So just to give the show a positive, that's something I really liked in this episode for sure.
Yeah. And that's what Jeannie's probably running back to, is the soft side of Negan.
Or maybe she's trying to figure out like who the real person is. Like, is it the soft side or the person that killed my dad? Like where?
She may know Negan well enough by now to know that if he did kill her dad, he might have had a good reason. Let me know the whole story.
Definitely. But yeah, they keep they put Ginny in there just to give like Negan a symbol of, here's who he is now, right? And then who he is now conflicts with who he was with the, killing her father and everything, even though he had a good reason, right? But he had a good reason to kill Glenn too, like it wasn't for no reason.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, our guys, they wiped out the whole satellite station, right? I mean, you can argue about who fought first, right? But at the end of the day, like it wasn't senseless. Like he had a thought process behind it, right?
Yeah.
That's how I always looked at it anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, nobody's
we'll see how it plays out.
Nobody's innocent in all of that.
Yep. That's for sure. Well, in the show, they really tried to show more the perspective of the saviors, which I thought actually in a way was added more complexity. Because one thing in screenwriting classes, they always tell you like, hey, the antagonist doesn't view themselves as the antagonist. Like they view themselves as the good guy. And that's something that like this show, every villain, they did that. Like the governor in, season 3 and stuff. In the original comic, he's total asshole, total piece of shit. Until like the governor novel, they made it more complex. But in the comic, it was like, no, this guy, he's, he's.
And that is one thing I was shocked about. I was definitely shocked that of all the networks to pick up The Walking Dead, I really thought that The Walking Dead would have done so much better on like a HBO, a Showtime. I know that's why like I'm shocked because the brutality and the gruesomeness, I knew there was going to be things that they weren't going to be able to do on AMC. Like even though
they
AMC
didn't do the
kind of
Michonne
toes
stuff.
the line, like they're not basic cable, but they're not like an HBO, so they still have more rules they kind of like have to follow. So I was very, very shocked that they picked up a show like this. Just be like thinking
That's
about
why
the comic
they did it,
and
I think
the fucking brutality and the gruesomeness. I was like,
they couldn't even drop F-bombs for most of the show until season 11. Yeah. No,
like,
I get that.
So I was very, very shocked that it was AMC is where this landed. And I think it would have done so much better on like a channel where they really could have showed us the brutality of the comic book.
I still think that
Because
they
that
wouldn't
made
have done
some of
like
the stuff that happened. Like I'm sitting there reading the comic and I'm like, did they really? Oh my,
they would
wow.
not. I still
Okay.
think even if they were on HBO, they wouldn't have done like the governor with Michonne. They wouldn't have done that. They wouldn't have done, the killing the
I think they
baby.
would have. I
I
think
don't think they would have.
they would have dulled it down, but I still think they would have played out the Michonne and governor thing.
I
And
don't. I don't
even
know.
Judith's death, that might have been an off-screen type of thing. Maybe you saw somebody raise the gun and then you hear the pop off screen. You don't physically
I
see
don't
it.
even think Kirkman would have wanted them to, because if like I'm collecting the deluxe version of the comics now, and they
Yeah,
include
I do
like some
too.
of the original like letter responses in those, and they have the original one of the original ones slightly after the Michonne stuff and the governor stuff happened, and they were getting like really angry letters about that, and they were saying it was like racially charged, those scenes, and that
Oh,
was back
Jesus.
then. Now we're in a time when like you would get canceled for something like that. So I don't know.
But
It
even though
just
I don't see how they would think that with the redemption that they give Michonne.
Oh, I don't
Like
I don't
she
get it
gets
either. But
she gets hers back. Like she's
yeah,
not like thrown away. She fucks the governor up hard. So
yeah.
it's like
No,
she
she
gets
went she
her
went
like
you're like, yeah, go Michonne, go Michonne. And then she keeps going. You're like, oh, just kill him already. Stop. Like
yes.
that part of the
Let's just
comic was
say
so good.
there was screwdrivers involved and body parts, and governor didn't end up in one piece after that.
Yep. But he survived it.
He did.
He's a trooper.
So it was so like the villains in the comic book are they're fucked up.
But yeah,
They're
in a
really,
way,
really
the
fucked up.
show tried to peel that back a little bit. I think there is an advantage
Yeah,
to it in that you can see their perspective more. You can see how they look at themselves and like what
they
they're doing is
humanize
for the
them
greater
more.
good. But there
Yes.
are some parts where it's like the Whisperers, for example, they took out the aspect of like the whole theology, so to speak, is like we're returning to nature because civilization is what like brought us to this point. So we're
Yeah.
just going to be like the animals, and that involved treatment of women in a certain way, and that was not in the show at all. And that changed the
Yeah.
context of like Henry took Carl's storyline in that part, and it made Henry look a
Mhm.
lot more like a simp. You know what I mean? Whereas before with Carl, it was like, no, they're abusing the women. Like we gotta stop these
Yeah.
people. So there's advantages and disadvantages to toning down the brutality, I think.
I just still think I don't know. I feel like AMC was not The Walking Dead's like home.
How
I just
about
thought
that
it
they
would
were
just
at
have done.
NBC for a while? NBC picked There's a point in time where NBC had picked up the show.
Wow.
Could you
Okay.
imagine this on network TV?
No.
It would have been like,
No.
oh man, no, thank you. I'll pass.
Right. But no, this was a fun discussion, and I
Absolutely.
appreciate you guys coming and hanging out with us tonight and diving into Walking Dead. Hopefully we'll keep this going on Saturday nights if you guys want to talk some more Walking Dead in the future and Dead City.
I'm always down
And
to talk Walking Dead.
but so before we close it out, overall, I think Brian, you said you were around a 7.
Yeah.
What would you guys rate this first episode of season 2 of Dead City? You still at a 7, Brian?
Yeah, I'm at a 7. Now that we've talked about it more, the flaws are like showing a little more, but I'm sticking with 7, and I feel like they set the stage for what could be a good story, or it could just kind of stay around there. So we'll see.
And what about you, James? For the first episode of season 2, what would you rank it?
I'd probably give it a 6 on the account of just a lot of unexplained stuff. But again, like several shows that I'm watching, I give it the benefit of the doubt if it explains it later. But if it doesn't, it'll probably stay at a 6 because, like, especially for the long time people, it was interesting to hear Scarlett's point of view that didn't know all of the lore. So, it's I can understand if they're wanting to make it a little more standalone, how they might bypass some of that stuff a little bit. But to me, it's a little, I don't know, a little too loopy as far as the details. So that's why I went as low as a 6. The visuals, like this shot right here of the city, I mean, the visuals and stuff, the acting, the actors, the acting, all that stuff, all that's always great. It's just the story aspects.
Yeah,
And what about
casting's
you,
always
Scarlett?
top tier.
Yeah. What about you, Scarlett?
5.5. But that, again, I
Okay.
mean, I like
Hey,
the
fair enough.
actors.
Yeah.
Look,
It's okay.
if there was a burning body running out of that church screaming into the
Oh,
street,
hell yeah, man. I
she
would have
would've-
bumped it a bit.
oh, it'd have been a 6 maybe.
Right? She's like, you would have gotten an extra half a point for that bad boy.
Right? Hell, you might even talk me into a 7, but a couple missed opportunities in my book.
Yeah,
That's
I
fair.
myself am around like a 6.5. Like, I didn't hate it, I didn't love it, and really just the backdrop and a lot of just it being in New York really just carried it for me because
Yeah.
I'm not invested in the story yet, but I'm still kind of like, oh, this is cool. They're in New York City.
Right.
I gotta check this out and see if they do my city right. But besides that, right now, between The Last of Us disappointing us so much, I'm hopeful that this turns into being a little better.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to
But
give it to them if you're saying that as you watched the show, you couldn't really, you were in New York the whole time. That's good, right?
Yeah, that's solid.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I mean, I wouldn't know one way or the other,
Yeah, me
myself.
neither.
So it's cool to hear that, from a New
Mhm.
Yorker person.
Well,
and it's hilarious. Like I'm thinking to myself, like, is it really bad? I don't remember the Central Park Zoo. I was like, we might have to make a trip to this because I was like, I don't remember. I'm thinking it's like the Bronx Zoo because when people were asking me, yeah, is there a zoo in the city? And I'm like, the only fucking zoo I could think of is the Bronx Zoo. And then
Right.
somebody was like, no, isn't there a zoo in Central Park? I was like, is there? It's like, I don't know. I don't really know.
Yeah,
Oh,
It's like
shit.
one of the places like I'm
it's
not too
it's
sure.
a little smaller,
So I was
maybe.
telling Miguel, I was like,
Couple
we might have to
different
make a
animals.
trip to the Central Park Zoo just so I
Right.
can see what the fuck
Hey.
they have in there.
And I checked online. I Googled after the promo came out with the bear and the Bronx and maybe the Central Park as well have bears. Have a bear.
Yeah.
Yes,
Don't
I
they
know the
have?
Bronx Zoo does.
Well, don't they have like penguins and all kinds of shit? What was it? Madagascar one or something?
Yeah, but I mean, come on, Scarlet, a penguin running at you going, "Rawr," and it's,
Well, no, I
and
just
it's
mean like
scary
don't
as
they
a
have
bear.
like a lot of different like
Well,
wild
they
ass
can't do a
animals?
giraffe because that's Last of Us. They can't do that.
Yeah,
But I'm
that's what
trying
I
to
said to
remember
Scarlett.
like 'cause
She was
they had all
playing
kinds of
Teenage
shit.
Mutant Ninja Turtles the other night, and it's going through New York City, and it too was like going through the zoo, the
That's
Central
funny.
Park Zoo, and I see giraffes. I'm like, I don't think they got giraffes there. I was like, I really don't think those are in the Central Park Zoo. I was like, monkeys? I was like, I don't know. I gotta go to the zoo and see
Well, that's what I was
what's
saying.
You gotta
Like the
do
Madagascar movie, right? It had the lion and everything. Weren't they from New York?
Yeah, I guess so. Was it New York? I don't remember.
Yeah, I thought it was. I'm almost pretty sure because the old lady, everything they was like proud New Yorkers, and they was doing shit when the plane crashed.
Yeah, seems that's correct.
Sounds about right.
I'm
I watched that one.
You don't
on
know
Straight
enough to
Out.
argue, so you're like, shit. I don't know,
No,
baby.
I don't.
They were definitely
I
city.
honestly don't.
They were definitely city zoo animals.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm just like I'm the like the anti-tourist. Like I only go to the city if I'm specifically going there for a reason or if I really want to do something. Otherwise than that, I am not the New Yorker that goes to the city. I hate the
Right.
city.
And
Like
see,
especially because you could tell you see the tourists and they all take a picture of the camera and of like the buildings and stuff and like it's not my jam.
You're like, can you move
Not
the
my
hell out the
jam.
way? I got business.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
Kidding.
we got
I'm just
things to
Go
do.
for yeah, so I'm not the New Yorker that goes and like walks around New York City. It's just yeah, like
Let's see.
even people
That's
ask me,
fair.
you've never seen like New Year's Eve? I said, only crazy people go down to see the ball drop. I'm
Yeah.
like, that's just no, I'm good in my house. I'll
Not
watch it
even one.
from TV.
Not even one stuff.
Uh,
No, it just never interested me at all. At all. And
Yeah, that's
especially
fair.
after 9/11, to where wherever you go now, you cannot move. So if you leave to go to the bathroom, you won't be getting back in. So those
mhm.
people nowadays are literally in those little areas for and they can't move.
Huh.
I would not be able to.
I'd
Nope,
lose
nope,
my
I'm
damn
good.
mind.
Yeah, you
Nope.
can't do that. No bathroom break. You
You
got to
want
bring
that
some
spot, you
bottles
got to
with you.
stay in that spot
No, they
until
wear
the ball
diaper
drops.
things. That's why they joked about everybody wearing the diapers.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's not a bad idea. You might as well if you're gonna make that trip.
Oh
No,
my
no,
god, I don't even
that's
want
a
to think
tourist
about that.
thing.
It just seems horrifying. But anyway, the Starlight gave it a 7.5.
7.5. There you go. See,
Okay,
somebody gave
not
it a higher
bad,
score
not
than
bad.
me. Nice.
Yeah, all right.
I'm
He's like,
usually the
thank God
guy.
I'm not the only one.
I'm usually the one who inflates the score a little bit. And I still get people mad at me, like, "Oh, you're just a hater." It's like, no, I love Walking Dead. You don't understand. It's like I love it. It's my life. You know, the thing I'm most
It
excited
is.
for
It's
Walking
what
Dead is do you guys know that there might be a video game being developed by Bloober Team right now? You
I
guys heard
wouldn't
this?
doubt it. I
So
haven't
that
heard of it, but I wouldn't doubt it. Everything seems like when they're doing a show or something now, they want to have a game or something with it.
yeah, but they Bloober Team just made Silent Hill 2 remake, which is I think one of the best games ever made. It just came out
Mhm.
last year. I love that game so much. And
Nice.
they announced a partnership with Skybound, and they said they're doing a horror game. They didn't say Walking Dead, but there's not much else that it could be. So I'm like, oh, they're making a Walking Dead game, and I'm excited about that. The potential for that is really good. So
It's possible.
yeah, I hope it. I hope that's what happens. And I'm
Walking
also
Dead is the
excited.
show.
Or sorry,
What?
what?
No, like Walking Dead is just the show that like got us into conventions. Like I
Oh
love The
yeah.
Walking Dead. It's always be like I was literally walking around Artist Alley and just happened to bump into Robert Kirkman, and you would have thought I saw like the biggest movie star in the whole world. I couldn't get like I was giddy. I was like excited.
Oh, I
Like
would have been freaking out.
so I loved like literally when I tapped on his shoulder and I was like, Mr. Kirkman, he's like, oh, when I turned around, I thought you were gonna be like 12. I was like,
Mhm.
no, sorry. I was like, Mr. Kirkman, as I like tapped him on his shoulder.
Mr.
He's like,
Kirkman,
yeah, you're not who I thought I was turning
Mr.
around
Zombie
to.
Man.
Mhm.
Yeah, like he's like, I thought you were like 12. I was like, nope, I'm a grown ass woman. Mr.
Mhm.
Kirkman, can I take a picture with you? And
No,
I was like all
he's
fucking giddy.
I don't blame you. He's an inspiration because it's not just Walking Dead. It's the fact that like he was independent. You know, he made The Walking Dead. He owned his own comic, made an empire out of it, and he's got Invincible, and he's got other stuff going on. Like I have so much respect for that guy. So much talent and passion for what he does. So
Yeah, he's done a
He's a
bunch.
nice guy. He's a
oh
nice
yeah,
guy.
seems like
Yeah,
it.
most of them were nice. I would say about 90% of the Walking Dead people that I've met were nice. There was a few that, yeah, Puta, I don't like you. Nope, go away.
You could have just met
But
him on a bad day, you know.
yeah, I
It's
don't
tough.
think so.
You don't think so? Fair
No,
enough.
I don't think so. But no, so I love The Walking Dead. I do hope this show does well. I don't want it to be bad. Like I don't want it to suck. And that's the thing, especially coming off of Last of Us to where we I think we enjoyed the first 3 episodes. We were sitting there like this is good, okay. And then the fourth episode came around and I think we all just were like, what the fuck is this dumpster fire garbage? What is
Yikes.
happening right now? Like we were just like I feel like we did a complete 180. We were talking so positively about the show, and then they just gave us episode 4, and we were all just like we can't even explain this.
That's
you can't even
unfortunate.
argue with. It's like you can't even argue with the problems because they're so in your face that you'd just be lying if you say you didn't see them. Like
Yeah.
it wouldn't be honest of you to not say like, yeah, something's going on. This is so I don't know what's going to happen with The Last of Us. And I love the world of The Walking Dead. And I hope that we get to see more stuff. And I just hope that, they give us something we can enjoy at the end of the day. I just don't, I hope it doesn't suck. I do.
Yeah, for me, it's like I'm here for the long haul. As long as if it stays this level of quality and doesn't dip back to like Fear season 7 and 8, like if it stays this level of quality, I'm gonna keep watching it because I love Walking Dead and I'm obsessed with it. But when season 1 of this show came out, I was like, this needs to be 10 out of 10 amazing so that we can get Walking Dead back to like somewhere near where it used to be, where everybody's watching it, we're all talking about it, and it's not that good. It is good, it was good, but it's not as good as I was hoping it would be. And that's kind of where we've been at with like the Daryl show, and The Ones Who Live I think was a little better until that last episode, but like I was hoping it would be like knock it out of the park, but I'm okay with the level of quality that it's at. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. And what about
Yeah,
you, James? Like overall, like I know you have like your gripes, but I think it's for a first show for a season opener. I didn't hate it.
Yeah, for sure. And I try to. I know I don't maybe put them back to back all the time, but I try to come back and say something like, well, if it's someone telling the story around a campfire, or they're maybe trying to make the show a little bit more toward people who's never seen it before, and lore isn't the first thing on their minds necessarily, even though it should be kind of, and those kind of things. So I try to make excuses sometimes even for some of my gripes, but yeah, I'm interested to see how the story goes regardless. And like you say, I hope it don't suck, because it could just totally just suck.
It could. It
It's-
could totally suck.
There is that possibility.
Fear season 8 is what I use as like, okay, that movie I saw was bad, but was it as bad as Fear season 8? No. I'm
Yeah.
like,
And they had
people are like,
such potential with Fear. They
yo,
had
the
such
concepts
potential
were
with
always
Fear.
great, and then they just fumble it with the execution so
Hey,
bad.
it's pretty bad when you have a piece of your IP or a piece of something you've done that's now used to rate anything that sucks.
Yeah, it's like the reverse
So,
of jumping the shark.
Does it suck worse than Fear though?
Yeah, like people like I did reviews of like the new Snow White movie, which is a bad movie, but I was like, okay, it's like a 4 out of 10, and it's not as bad as Fear season 8, so it's like it was okay,
Wow.
Yeah, it really is like my my comparison against everything else.
They really could have done something with Fear. The concept to show us the before. I feel like that show should have constantly been the before and
Yeah,
ended with
and
it
they had
like
a
being the
time jump
start of the
in season
apocalypse.
1, like yeah.
I could like they literally gave us 5 seconds in like the pre-apocalypse.
Yeah, there's like a
And the
riot
best thing that
outside of the barber
all
shop.
anybody
And
cared
that was
about
it.
was what happened to the boy in the high school. That's
Yeah.
all everybody cared about. He was like
Oh,
prepared. He
he's
was
still
telling Raimi
alive.
like, yeah,
100%
he was
he's
like,
still
stop.
alive.
Zombies is like you gotta do all this shit. And then Tobias, I think was his name. And like we never saw him again. I would
He's
have
still
loved to
alive. I'm
follow
convinced.
him
See that's a
compared to
perfect
the
Tales
fucking
episode.
Nick and all them other fucking people. I was like, oh my god.
Nah, he changed his name to Joey and became a savior, and Daryl killed him.
Oh, you got it. That's so accurate.
I would have rather watched him for friggin' 8 seasons.
But even like season 7 with the nuclear apocalypse is a great concept. The concept in season 6 with the death call, amazing concept. It was always just the execution that was left lacking, for sure. To put it lightly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the high concept show, and I think that's why it went on for so long because like Scott Gimple had so much going on with all the different shows. I don't think he read the scripts or like watched the show.
Yeah,
He
but
was
come
just
on. He's surely got the ratings reviews or something thrown in his lap.
I feel like he had meetings about the show, and they were like, "Yeah, we're doing we're gonna do a nuclear apocalypse in season 7." He's like, "Oh, that sounds really cool. Yeah, you guys do that." And then he went over and did his own thing.
I don't know how he's still allowed anywhere near The Walking Dead. I still haven't wrapped my head around that. Because even every time I hear his name, I cringe. I'm like,
Well,
fucking
he's
Scott
riding high
Gimple,
on.
like, yeah.
He did write some of the show's best episodes, in my opinion, and I think that's why he ended up in the position he's in.
Which is
But
fine, but he
but
still has no idea what to do with The
he's
Walking
written
Dead.
some of the worst also. So it's
Yeah,
like at a certain point, because I used to say that too, and then at a certain point you're like, but he's also running it in the ground. It seems like he won't fire the fear showrunners, and you keep asking those questions. It's like, well, damn,
yeah,
what's
it's crazy
going
that
on here?
those guys had 5 seasons. Like it was a lot, and I kept giving it second chances, like
Oh yeah, and
because
third and
I
fourth.
did too. I
like
did
season
too. Like
6, the first half was so
I
good.
popped in every so often and I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna give it a couple of I'm gonna try this again. And then again I'd be like, yep, nope. Uh, I will catch it in some recap or something. I was like, I just this is crazy. This is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, like they had their moments. Like the first half of season 6 was really good. I like the first half of season 4 as well. I know a lot of people didn't because they were attached to the original show. I just kind of viewed it as a new show at that point, and I thought it was pretty solid for the most part. But then it fell apart, right? It always fell apart.
Yep. Just I don't
But they
even
had
know.
great characters and a great
Here's-
cast. I mean, John Dory was a great character until they killed him off in a terrible way.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they had their
No,
moments though.
thank you guys. I do appreciate. Well, we're gonna get ready to close it out, and we
Oh, for
will
sure.
be Scarlet schedule. What are we doing?
Possibly we'll be back Monday to hang out. India, I don't know what yet, but we'll do something. And then Friday night, I know we will be showing off the fan art for the contest, as well as possibly setting sail on the high seas. So those who want to join in, we'll play. We're gonna try to play some Sea of Thieves. And then I know Thursday we're going to talk about The Last of Us, the next episode on over here. And then we'll be
Yep.
back Saturday for some more of
Dead
shit.
City, hopefully.
Yes, Dead City. I was gonna say The Walking Dead, but that's not what it is. It's The Walking Dead, Dead City. Yeah.
Yes.
But other than that,
And
we just
what about
just always, subscribe and hit that bell because you never know when we might go live for some random fun. So yeah,
yes?
Yeah.
And
Well,
we
thanks
will
for having me.
always.
definitely be doing this again. And yeah, what do you got going on, Brian? You feel like joining us for some of these Saturday Dead Talks?
Oh yeah, I could talk about Walking Dead forever. I love it. So as long as I'm not sure right now if I'm gonna be available next Saturday, but I'll definitely pop in on some of these streams for sure. I'll let you know. But yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. And as always, James, our new partner in crime, our third wheel of craziness.
Yeah. It's been good talking to you guys, hearing Brian's view on it, and Scarlett's for sure, and someone who doesn't know the lore. So yeah, all the discussion. It feels like I say what I don't like more than what I do like, and I'm gonna try to do better on that.
No,
We got to balance it out,
listen,
right?
listen, if it's it, you gotta call it like you see it. Call it like you see it. Because that's one thing I don't like about reviewers who I feel are paid. Like you're just being paid to say that. You couldn't have, yeah, you gotta admit that sucked. Like, stop
Or
it.
people who
Stop
just say
it.
it always sucks no matter what, and it's not
Like,
like they
just
can't
give me your
acknowledge
honest
anything good.
opinion.
Yeah.
Like, just be honest with us. But no, and then I know we're gonna do something for my birthday close to the end of the month. Have just like a fun little stream. We'll do something. I'll be taking shots this time with Scarlett. I will be
Ooh.
joining the festivities. I won't just be a bystander. I will be joining in the festivities.
Well, you
I
got to
can't
say
do
like,
no
hey, every
90,
$20 super chat, we'll do a we'll do a shot. There you
right?
go.
Right.
But I can't hang with her 99 bananas and fruit punch and whipped cream, but I will have my nice little fruit punch cocktail going on because I'm a lightweight. I am a very much a lightweight when it comes to liquor. It does not take much. As we
Yeah,
saw
me
on New
too.
Year's, it
I
didn't
can't
take
partake
much.
anymore.
that's, that's why. So, but yeah, so thank you everybody so much for coming and hanging out with us and talking some Walking Dead, Dead City, and listening to us just pour our hearts out to you guys. So until next time, stay safe, everyone, and we will see you Monday night on Scarlett's channel. And happy Mother's Day. Happy
Happy
Mother's Day to
Mother's
everybody.
Day.
Yeah.
Woo!
Happy
My
Mother's
mom
Day.
will beat me for not saying if I didn't say that. Mama Susie sends her love
Yes.
to everybody,
Yes. Happy
and I
Mother's Day to
appreciate
Mama
everybody who
Susie.
reached out. Yeah, and to all your mommies and whoever's a mom, happy Mother's Day.
Yes, another happy
Milk it,
Mother's Day to Miss
ladies.
Kiwi and Vic,
Yes,
all you ladies. Love you.
yes.
Bye,
Bye,
guys.
guys.
Bye. Thanks so much. Peace out,
Bye.
everybody.